Billy Schmidt alongside Armin Sari in the iHeart Megaplex, and John with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line late into the night. They were celebrating in Milwaukee, and right now you can celebrate at least momentarily. At least momentarily. We're going to get into a lot more of this, but John, within the last hour, ton of Brewers conversation. Last hour, the conversation around Jordan Love has picked up to where insiders are pulling themselves back. The retractor muscles are being worked out by the Diana Rossinis, by the Adam Schefters, because Jordan Love practiced yesterday, and now Adam Schefter saying there's a 50-50 chance that he's playing on Sunday. Everybody is starting to say, holy cow, this 3 to 6 weeks. We may have been wrong. The Packers might be at full strength on Sunday on Broadway. Holy cow, what are we looking at here on this Thirsty Thursday?
Full strength in terms of offensive starters, right? Let's make that. I mean, we did lose Marshawn Lloyd this week. He went on IR, be there for 4 weeks minimum. Yeah, pour one out for Marshawn Lloyd. Got another guy up now. Don't know a whole lot about him, but we'll find it out.
My boy Chris Brooks has got it.
We'll let you know about Chris. We'll let you know about him as this thing goes on.
But is that?
50. That was my question, Armin. After
sorry.
Brazil,
I just
that was
my
question. That's not the lead, though. Okay, that's C block, and you're shoving it into the A block. Do you see what's going on right now?
Well,
Jordan Love, Billy, you say Adam says 50-50 for this week. It was 50-50 last Friday when he got the questionable tag, and it wasn't until Saturday that a decision was made. And I am feeling pretty optimistic because I've watched a lot of football over my years. I played some football over my years, and I've seen the way that these things progress. And something smells fishy, right? There was something out there in the air last Friday, last Saturday. I believe the Packers went into that football game saying, Jordan can play. Jordan could play in this game. If this was a must win, if this was a wild card game, if this was a divisional, he'd be playing and we would be confident that he would play well. However, we can go out here and win with Malik Willis because we created one of the most dynamic run game plans, smack you in the mouth game plans that you could have, and we're going to play great defense at home. This game's not at home. This game's against a better run defense. This game is one of those games that you look at and it has all the outside feelings of last year's Giants game, right? You got these good feels going on. You won with a backup quarterback. Now you're going to a place that has a quarterback that can't help but turn the ball over, and they've lost 24-17 in back-to-back weeks in dramatic fashion after having the leads in the games in complete control. Yeah, this feels like it could be one of those, hey, don't blink, stay straight, because you could get bit in the behind on the back end. So I think Jordan Love is progressing the right way. Obviously, practice. You should tell me you watched the videos of him at practice yesterday. I know you only got to see warm-ups. I know you only got to see individual. Spinning. He looks fine, guys. He looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any more of that. We need to protect him for the hard games at the end of the year. Every game is hard. Let me throw my finger up. Every game's hard. I mean, you're not watching the Baltimore Ravens this year saying, let's save our guys for the hard game. They're 0-2.
Yeah.
Right? There's other teams, Cincinnati Bengals, they're 0-2. Every game's hard, and you don't want to – every little notch that you have go the wrong way, you find yourself later in the season having to make that thing up. So I love this. We have empirical evidence of quarterbacks playing with grade 1 and grade 2 MCL tears within a week or 2 weeks or even sometimes 0 weeks missed. So I love this, and I think Jordan Love is going to be back this week. And I feel bad for Malik Willis maybe not having his revenge tour in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But you know what? He can still get a game ball if we go down there and beat him, even if he doesn't play, because teams do that every now and then.
Well, and you know what, John? Maybe we overplayed it because Malik Willis was asked yesterday, how much do you want to stick it to your old team? How much do you want to take it to him? He said, I could care less, bro. They paid me the whole time I was there. Like I got a check every single time I was there. They did great by me. Miss Amy is a fantastic owner, and I appreciate them. So maybe he'll be okay if Jordan is playing with that nice felt leg sleeve, which may have been hiding a small brace. Looked like a small brace underneath there, but that's fine. You roll out. He was spinning it in those little individual drills.
The thing about the MCL, Bill, you keep it tight. You don't really feel it. You don't really feel it. I told you this was pain management. We've all had an MCL. In fact, most players in the NFL have had MCLs, believe it or not. And whether it's a tweak, whether it's grade 1, grade 2, whatever you want to call it, we've had it. You throw that tight sleeve on, it makes it feel a lot better. And if you don't have to make 90-degree cuts, it feels a lot better. I do think that he can go out there and he can play well. And again, this is not putting him at any more risk of injury than if you throw him out there 100% healthy. I don't believe that to be the case. Wasn't he 100% healthy going into Brazil?
That's what I believe, yes.
And he got hurt.
And he got hurt on the last play that he was in, like the second to last play of the game. At any waking moment, it can go down. And the best part of it is, John, if indeed they found out last week that, hey, man, I think you could go if this was a playoff game. That's great news for Packers fans to remember and realize, hey, we got another one, absolute warrior. Because you already know there were certain people that were sitting on their bar stool or in their basement saying, Brett would have been out there. Aaron would have been out there. Jordan wanted to be out there. Jordan wanted to be out there. They're holding him back, and he'll be ready to go. Hopefully coming up by Tennessee.
I believe Brett would have been out there, even still. I believe Aaron would have been out there, even still. The NFL is a little bit different now. 17 games. Yes, I'll acknowledge it. Everybody spoke it at the beginning of the week. 17 games. I'll acknowledge it. Because of 17 games, teams feel a little bit better about taking a game off. Plus, situationally, this was a home game. This was a game that you felt like you could get right in the run game. You're just playing a defense that let up 200 yards rushing.
Totally.
Against the Houston Texans the first week. You felt like you could run the football short in the game. And you felt like your defense could play well at home against this offense. So you did your math, you did the studying, you did the game planning, and you came to a decision at the end of the week of, hey, Jordan Love probably could play. I believe they believed he probably could play, but they made the cautious decision last week. We don't need to be cautious every week. We were cautious last week.
Yeah.
And if you're cautious, I mean, you get better by leaps and bounds in days, let alone weeks. Now, remember, we played that Friday night. Coming up tomorrow, Jordan Love's going to be 2 weeks out from this thing.
Yeah.
2 weeks out. Then you get a couple more days. I believe he could do it.
John, we got the speed check ahead. We slowed, right? We cautioned. We took our foot off the accelerator a little bit, cruised by very nicely by that patrol car. We're going to put that gas down. We're going to put that gas all the way down to the floor. Sorry. I know one other thing that might make your MCL feel better. Getting doused with champagne like Bob Uecker last night.
Yeah,
that might be able to make it feel a little bit better.
There is no one who epitomizes a champion the way this man does right here. There is no one out here. What an example for us to be with every single day. Bob Uecker. Nobody.
And Uke runs in with the I peed my pants right at the end as he's doused by Woody and company with champagne.
Well, they shot him right in the crotch.
Right in the crotch, John.
The first three bottles went straight to the crotch.
Well,
they like to have fun in that clubhouse. Let's say that. When are we going to start the Win It For You a moniker?
I think that we just are already feeling that. Yeah. I know we can say it out loud.
Let's say it out loud.
Feeling it. I mean, come on.
The bad thing is we've tried to push that a couple of times, I think, for the last couple of years. Right? I think on year 50, which was 2021, perfect year to win it for you.
That was the year.
And that was a bad one. 2022, you're like, all right, coming back. Don't worry about it. Missed the playoffs for the only time in the last 7 years. And then the last two have been chef's kiss. Now, he has been taking steps back in the amount that he's been there. But that passion last night, there was tons of it, and the celebration was on from there. As Pat Murphy kind of slow played these boys, John, into being able to pop that champagne, they knew at 4:30 that they were division champions. They had to go play a game against the best team in the National League. They win it in dramatic fashion. I don't think that could have played out better last night than it did for them to know they won, play a nip and tuck, difficult game, pedal to the metal, all 27 outs needed, and then to absolutely let it rip like they did after the game.
I'm going to go out and say they one-upped Armin Sarri in what Armin wanted to happen yesterday. They went and one-upped them. They said, Armin, if you want us to go out there and have to win it so that we can celebrate, we're going to one-up you. We're going to make it so that we don't necessarily have to win it.
And still win it.
And then we're still going to win it.
Yeah,
and then we're going to just say,
great.
Hey, we are not satisfied yet. How do you like them apples? And I love the way that they did it in dramatic fashion. And it probably made the celebration all that much better in the clubhouse? Did it make your celebration much better, Armin? How did you celebrate at home?
Celebrating on a win is definitely better. I mean, it'd been better to celebrate a win than a loss, so I'm glad it happened that way. I still don't think it would have been better if the Cubs didn't lose. Like the Cubs won, and then the Brewers had to win to clinch. But you can't really say it took away from it.
Is that why Matt in Milwaukee is saying, we know Armin wasn't celebrating last night because he was still butthurt that the Athletics won in the morning?
So, like, if you want to misinterpret what I'm saying, Matt, that's totally fine. I don't know if you want to be funny with it. I don't mind. I'm not upset the Brewers won the division.
You're saying it's not as sweet. I'm saying it's sweet too.
I didn't want us to lose a game, still win the division, and then celebrate.
Like they did last year.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same. I mean, it's still great to win the division anytime you win it, obviously. So that's not the point I'm making. I just think it feels the vibes better. And the vibes were fantastic last night. When you get a walk-off, and you get the belly flop in the third.
What vibes are? I actually think vibes are better when you win a game you don't have to win just by saying we're not satisfied.
It was great, but it wouldn't have been better. But it was still great. I mean, it was still great last night to do it that way. It wouldn't have been better.
I'm kind of with John. Yeah. I thought the sweet part of it was knowing, hey man, this thing's in the bag. We already got the champagne on ice. It's going to work out. It'll be a party either way. But I get what you're saying, Armin, of that you didn't want this, that, and the third. But I also think that part of and who ended up losing is what you're not allowing to see through the trees. You're missing the fact that Craig Counsell, the one that spurned and ditched his hometown team within a year ago to set on course the new Pat Murphy era of Brewers baseball. And we're going to hear from Pat Murphy in a second. Pat Murphy, John, taking out his Drake London sawed-off shotgun and just letting everybody in the NL Central hear about it as they end up winning this thing. But for Craig Counsell's team to lose to one of the historically worst teams in baseball over the last decade plus, back-to-back nights on their opportunity that they could have extended this thing, that's where I think you're missing about how sweet it was yesterday. That the Cubs drop back-to-back games to the A's and then just say, hey, Brewers, you know what? We don't even care. Just you guys can celebrate and you guys can sell t-shirts all night long. And the Brewers team store can make infinitely more money because they were selling those shirts from the moment the gates opened
that table
until the moment they left, instead of having to cover them up with a black sheet like they did last year.
Used to run that table. No, my thing is, it's always great when the Cubs lose. I already kind of disregarded them to have a chance to make the playoffs anyway. We were getting nervous about them after another good August that they've had the last couple of years. And since they've been pooping all over themselves so far in September, I really wasn't worried about them making the playoffs anymore. So if there's any iota of concern that I had about them making a wild card, I would have obviously wanted them to lose first and foremost. The fact they lost is still great. I know they're going to be officially eliminated soon from wild card contention. I still wasn't worried they were going to make the wild card. If that was ever an issue, then of course I would have wanted them to lose, no doubt about it. Because the last thing I wanted to see was the Cubs make a wild card spot. And I know people were getting nervous at the end of August, like, oh no, here come the Cubs. Oh no, here come the Cubs, which I thought was ridiculous to worry about, to Eeyore about at that point, because they still were a long way away. But thankfully, the Cubs have been pooping all over themselves like they usually do in September. None of this Craig Timber stuff, which has not happened.
Their month of excellence was in the August.
Maybe it's in Brew Timber, not Craig Timber the whole time.
How about
that?
Do you ever
think about that? That maybe it's the Brewers doing it, not Craig. So
414-799-1973. UPS Ben said, my daughter likes to fall asleep to this Amazon Music channel that plays real songs as lullabies. This morning I walked in to wake her up. The lullaby version of We Are the Champions was playing. You can't make this kind of stuff up. And the part of the Brewers winning the Central that, again, now it becomes a little bit more commonplace. And John, since you've been doing this, and now when you're playing for the Packers, you're in the state, but not necessarily fully being able to gravitate or understand what this team has meant to this portion of the state, especially the southeastern portion of the state, right? Being in Milwaukee, being in the southeastern portion of the state my entire life, they've always been one of my favorite teams, and there's a really, really unique love when your team stinks on ice for 25 plus years and people are still going and packing that place out. Now, I'm rather lucky that I only started really watching Brewers baseball in the doldrums of 2002, right? The 106 loss season was like one of the first that I fully remember. And then it's been pretty all good from there, right? We get Prince. He's my all-time favorite player. They win a couple of playoff series. They go to the NLCS in 11. They recycle it with one of the better players in 2018. Now they've won the title of the division. They've won the division title 4 of the last 6 full seasons, 4 of the last 7 years, back-to-back years, first time since they've done it since 81, 82. Like, it is amazing to think of. a generation, like with Packers Nation. There's the generation that still tells us about the 70s and 80s. There is a huge generation of Brewers fans that have to be educated about the late 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, because all they know, like Hunter in the party last night, all his generation knows is winning baseball here in Milwaukee, which is wild.
And to some extent, that's me, right? Armin's here to remind me of what it used to be like. And he does that every chance that he gets, right? And for me, I got here in 07, started watching Brewers baseball in 08. And really, it's been a nice run here for me as a Brewers fan. It really has in my time here in Wisconsin. And that's, to me, what makes this year different than most of the other years, right? Other than really 11 that kind of came as a bit of a pleasant surprise, but you knew they had potential going into that season. This was supposed to be a rebuild. You lost your manager, you lost your top two pitchers, one of which to injury, one of which you traded, and you get yourself in a spot where you're just, okay, I'm content with this being an 80-win season, not making the playoffs, not winning the division, but seeing progress throughout the season.
Foundation setting and all that stuff.
We were excited about the old man coming in there to teach these young pups how to play the game of baseball at the professional level. And it turns out, hey, he knew something and he built something. And this team changed right before our eyes. And it started off great. It continued great. And they're the laws, the little valleys within this peaks and valley of a baseball season were short and far in between. Like this has been a phenomenal season. And because I didn't have to go through the suffrage of, the 90s and early 2000s, like Armin Sarian did, I was like, well, this is a different vibe for me. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great year. I think it's totally fair to say that, obviously I just had a little.
Sorry, I thought you were just having some. No, I thought you were just having some emotion. Which is good. We want some of that.
Last night, yeah, for sure, but not right now. No, it's just the fact that there wasn't much expectation for this team. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of us, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think a lot of us, when Pat Murphy was hired, were happy with it. Like, okay, it's cool. Our bench coach, Pat Murphy, he's getting his shot. I'm not sure anyone really imagined he'd be a managerial savant, or at least the impact he's had on these young guys.
Now, I wanted Stephen Vogt, and I was pissed that council dragged it out so long that you ended up missing him and he went to the Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, okay, this is going to be some feel-good stuff. We love Murph in the locker room, in the clubhouse.
And on with Timmy on the postgame show.
He's on with Timmy in the postgame show. I'm like, he'll be good for some jokes and stuff like that. Like, I kind of thought that was the vibe. I really thought everything went well. They could compete, for a wild card spot. The over-under was 81, then it went to 76, then some people had 82. I predicted 84. But it's been a total revelation. I mean, it's been fantastic. And he's done it a different way. And we've talked about that over and over, but this has been the best run differential team in baseball. This wasn't a fluky group. I mean, with Counsell, sometimes it was, let's squeeze everything out of the orange we can. He was outperforming his run differential. Not the case with this team, right? They've had a better run differential of runs scored versus runs allowed than anybody in baseball. I don't know if that still applies right now today, but it was for a while. It was changing back and forth with the Yankees. I know that, but it's just been incredible how complete and how well this team has performed throughout the year.
I love this one from Cactus Jack. Brewers are in the playoffs. Counsell is now irrelevant. This sounds like being at prom and talking about your ex-girlfriend who isn't there with your new date.
Well, I don't think we're lamenting Counsell.
But this is what's different.
I like that.
This is what's different, though. For us, or at least for me, when Pat Murphy was assigned to manager, it felt like when Bruce Arians got the head coaching job.
It's a good point. Yeah, good example.
It was kind of by default, right? We know why there was a health situation in Indianapolis as to why he got it. And everybody was like, let's not lie here. We were bummed when Craig Counsell was leaving for the Cubs.
I was devastated.
Disgusting.
Devastated.
Right?
Yeah.
And we were, and most people that have a heart were bummed when Chuck Pagano was diagnosed with cancer.
Of course, right.
So, but we all looked at the replacement and said, well, good for him. He's put in his tenure, he's put in his time, and he's getting an opportunity here. But nobody really expected the results that came out of either of those switches. And then you turn out to find out they come with a complete bag of what it takes to be a head coach or
Mhm.
be a manager. And that is what's fun. That is what's fun to see. I mean, for Pat Murphy, for all intents, Pat Murphy was a career assistant manager. And
Yeah.
now he's the manager, and he's the guy, and he's doing it, and the proof's in the pudding.
I heard you make that comparison with, or that analogy, John, with Wags on Tuesday, and I loved it because you did have a feeling like Murph he's the college manager, right? That probably won't work up here. Might not work up here. Well, Pat Murphy explains his philosophy. We're going to play some of it on the other side. And he was pretty proud yesterday, John, to be able to say, yeah, my philosophy works up here.
And whether he was a guy whose philosophy was going to work up here or not, you felt like he was a guy who was being put in a place as an interim, right? We're going to put you in here. You're going to build
until
these
Ricky's
guys,
ready.
And then in a couple years, we're going to make the swap to the guy,
Mhm.
the next guy. Well, it turns out you already have the next guy. You have the guy, and he's the guy who rebuilt this thing in a hurry and has this team humming.
When they added the assistant manager title to Ricky Weeks, we thought it was, okay, we'll just groom him for the next guy. Instead, the guy in the middle might be the perfect one for it. 414-799-1973. Celebrate with all of us on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line, like Matt in Milwaukee, who loves dunking on non-Brewers fans, especially Craig Counsell. Counsell did us a huge favor by leaving because I don't think he would have been winning the division with this team. With how young this team is, Murph was the perfect coach for them, perfect coach for 2024. And Pat Murphy explains why their approach worked in 2024 with these Brewers yesterday in the celebration. We'll play some of that. We'll also bring you a little bit more from last night. We had some one-on-ones. Doug Russell, the love muscle, was hustling down there last night. He got the Brewers GM, the Brewers owner, Garrett Mitchell, Reese Hoskins, like two other players. My man was working. Quentin Berry sat down with Hunter Baumgart while Hunter was drying himself off with champagne. Good problems to have. And we're talking about it with all of you. John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian. It's 9 to noon. We're off and running with the division champion Brewers. More Jordan Love conversation coming up. Statewide on the game.
the guys in the front office are never going to get the credit they deserve, but they're dealing with a lot, and they're having to navigate and beat this division. Look where the Pirates are at. Look what they have done. Look what they went out and did. Look what the Reds did in the offseason, and look at their young talent. Those guys aren't rebuilding. They wanted to win this year, and they spent the money to do so. The Cardinals, they spent the money to do so. Look at the starting pitching they just brought in. Look at their lineup. And the Cubs, they were one game out of it last year. They went out and got one of the best pitchers in the game. They re-signed one of the best players in the game. They got a great farm system.
Didn't do anything else?
I mean,
You didn't mention it.
that's a tribute to the guys in our room that they withstood all of that in a time where the division there's no one rebuilding there.
Pat Murphy yesterday, after his team had clinched the NL Central, had yet to beat the Philadelphia Phillies and win that series 2-3. They do lose the season series to the Phillies, so they will not have that tiebreaker chasing down Philadelphia for either the 1 or 2 seed in the NL playoffs. But they are the first team in baseball to clinch a playoff spot in 2024. It's 9 to noon. Billy Schmidt alongside Armin Sarin here in the iHeart Megaplex, and John Kuhn with all of you on the NicolaLaw.com talk and text line. Now, John, I love that. We got more from Murph coming in, but as he that wasn't maybe a full windmill. He didn't throw that ball off the glass in 2 hands, slam it down, but he lined up a couple of people in the division and yammed and dunked all over the division with that clip, saying, look at all these teams that wanted to win this thing.
They wanted to win.
Everybody wanted to win this one, and no one came close. We won it by the widest margin. We won it on September 18th, and it just shows, hey, we might have been better than everybody thought. Like, he has taken all of that to the bank, and he has those guys believing big time as to what they can do.
Yeah, and each one of the teams in the division made a little run throughout the year where you go, uh-oh, here comes the Pirates, or uh-oh, here comes the Cubs, uh-oh, here comes the Cardinals again. And Armin was here to tell us, don't be Eeyores and don't fall into the trap.
Don't worry about it.
Don't feel anything like it. Because quite frankly, it never really got close.
Never got close.
It never really got close.
That's
like
the thing.
the wire to wire first place championship was so sweet because the emotions in each and every month throughout the season change. It's like, ooh, look at the start we had. Now, how do we hold on to it? And then it's okay. Well, they weathered June and May, so man, now we just got to get to the All-Star break. A little bit of a lull, right? And then okay, here we go. Boom, second half run. And then it's just the expectations have changed so much and the anticipation has changed so much. And I would say it felt different at the beginning of the year, yes, because the expectations were low and the team was so young. And then when Christian Yelich got injured, it's like, okay, well, now we're going to have to do it without Christian Yelich. Now, ask around what people, like Pat Murphy said, go ask around.
Go ask around, baby.
What are people's expectations? People expect this Brewers team to do well in the playoffs. When in past years, even with the stars, even with the pitching staff, you didn't feel that way. You always felt something just doesn't feel right here. Something feels manufactured. This doesn't feel manufactured for the first time that I can remember in a long time.
That's awesome. And that part of it, John, to how the feeling is amongst players around the league. Rhys Hoskins talked about it a bunch yesterday where he's like, yeah, kind of ever since I've been in baseball, and since I've been in the big leagues, they've been in the playoffs, right? Like ever since I've been in the majors, what I can remember is the Brewers being one of the toughest teams to beat night in and night out. Ed from Milwaukee on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line said, guys, the opening series of the season when Rhys Hoskins punched the Mets right in the face and showed the young guys where the dog fights, or how much you have to be in a dogfight, they're going to get no respect all year long. They've been in a fight all year, and they never looked back. It's been a great ride. Now let's see how long it can continue. That's from Ed.
I like that. It did set the tone, no doubt about it. And to your point, John, it's really interesting. This is the only time in my entire life as a Brewer fan, I was never, even the years we won the division, I was never worried about us losing this lead. I was never nervous about it. I was never stressed that we might lose this division lead. It was remarkable. And that's kind of the difference. And people like to compare years, and that's a big difference from last year, is that last year everyone did take a deeper run at us. I mean, the Reds had a bigger run. The Cubs were really on their tail in August. This was last year. Even though everyone kind of took a shot at us, it was nothing compared to last year. So I just felt like we were dominating the competition that much more. And we were. All the numbers state that we were winning larger. We had larger. We had less losing streaks. Didn't have any really long ones. We had
no 4-game losing streaks all year long.
Larger division leads. Billy would always laugh. My favorite line last year was, everyone was like a Cat 5 hurricane last year trying to blow our house down, and they huffed and they puffed and they couldn't blow us down.
I love that slot machine.
This year it was like a tropical storm, if anything. It really wasn't, and that's a testament to this team. It's a testament to this team, and I like what Pat said. No, everyone tried to win. You can make the point that, okay, this wasn't a good division and stuff, but it wasn't like everybody just came into the season saying, oh, shucks, we're rebuilding. Teams tried to win. The Cubs tried to make their moves. He didn't mention one move the Cubs made.
Yeah, did mention the one move that the Cubs made. Through all of the talk last night, all the times that there was a microphone in front of his face, there was not one reference to Craig Counsell.
He didn't mention that, no. But
he was on with MLB Network, and they kind of asked him something similar to it in that same vein, and he just skirted right past that part of the conversation.
Wasn't interested. It's been a fantastic season. Obviously, there are bigger goals for this team. We know that, and hopefully they can reach them. I think you talk about the teams getting hot at the right time. This team has never gone cold this year. They haven't had long losing streaks. And Jackson's obviously emerging, transcending at the right time. So that's a good
and
sign.
Murph continued upon the specialness of the players and what made this group so unique that he got to manage in 2024.
I think that the thing that it shows September 18th, no one in spring training would have said the Brewers will win the NL Central, except maybe a few guys in that room. And it just talks to one thing. This is a game about people. You can throw as many adversities our way as you want. You trade our Cy Young winner. Our number one is down for the year. We lose Wade. We lose Gassner. We lose so many other pitchers. We lose Devin till August. Then we lose Yelich in August. So many other injuries. How many different starting pitchers? We cut the budget. All that kind of stuff. You can do all that to us, but it's still about people, and you have no idea what their best is. These guys don't know what their best is and didn't know what their best was and still don't. But they know one thing: pulling together, competing, being doubted is something that can vault you forward into a championship. And, I had somebody say to me last night, well, like you won the championship last year. Like this is a whole 2024, a whole new group, whole new people, whole new set of adversities. The other teams in the division did a ton to make themselves better. You just look down the street and look what they did to make themselves better, the money they spent. Look at the Pirates, look at the Cardinals, the money they spent, the Reds, the money they spent. And it came down to people. And I'm proud of our group. And, I hope we do a good job of keeping it under control, but celebrating tonight. And
Celebrated tonight. Murph was already looking forward to that party. Oh my goodness, you could hear the smile in his face as I tried to interrupt him, John, there at the end. It's about people. That's the philosophy that he's wanted to instill, wanted to see if it worked with. And it is really, really impressive. There was a ton of good coach speak there in the midst of all of that. But when you talk about the people and you talk about the players and just the actual human element of it, he firmly believes that was the difference maker in their season this year.
And listen, nationally, I don't know if I saw anybody during spring training or the first month of the season have the Brewers finish anywhere better than maybe third.
Mm-hmm.
More people had them fourth or fifth in this division because of those moves that Pat Murphy speaks of, because of the money that got spent elsewhere. And the funny part is with young teams, not dissimilar to the Packers last year, although the Packers did it in a much different way. They had to build and grow and learn very quickly through the season. When the Brewers, it looked like learned it in the spring training and in the first month of the season and grew much quicker in that aspect. When you have young players, you don't know what you have. And it turned out something special can happen when you have a large portion of your team be young. When they all grow together, when they all have success together, they hug each other more. That's a true thing. When you see your brethren who you're coming up and growing with succeed, you're happier for them. when you're an older guy, and listen, not all older guys, but when you're a team filled with older guys and maybe you're struggling and somebody else is doing good, you're like, thanks for picking me up. But it's a different feel. It's a different vibe. Man, you can really celebrate the growth with one another when you're doing it at the same time. That's what this Brewers team did. They grew a lot together this year. Jackson Chourio being the prize horse that we talk about all the time, but there's many other examples of that throughout this lineup.
13 of the 26 guys on their opening day roster had not been on an opening day roster, a stat that Pat Murphy fired off a bunch of different times in the celebration last night. And that growing together, they don't know what their best is, John. That is a classic coachism. That coaches have been dropping that and will drop it forever, but it is a classic and it is truth.
But it's funny too, because when you do have success as a young player, like, we went and won a Super Bowl. And then we're like, well, how good can we be? And then we started stacking up wins on top of that. And we went 15-1 the next year. And then individually you go, okay, well, I'm starting to get some recognition. I made a Pro Bowl. Okay, well, now I need to make a second one. Can I make a second one, or was this first one a fluke? And when you start stacking those successes and those become your new benchmarks, you start realizing what your true height is, what your true ceiling is, because you continually move that bar for where you should perform.
And I'm fired up to see where this bar keeps going, especially Jackson Chourio. Last night, he said the best way to put it is, this is the most fun celebration I've ever been a part of, and there's more to come. There's a lot more great baseball in him, and I sure hope a lot more of it comes in 2024. There's a lot of things that I'm excited to see. Him in postseason baseball is at the top of the list. 414-799-1973. On the other side, we will spin through one part that Christian Yelich brought up into the conversation. Yelly celebrated last night, and he well deserved it. And he brought up a debate that Brewer fans might have and will have had since 82. And they can add another team into that conversation. It's 9 to noon on The Game. Guys, NFL is back tonight, week 3. Crazy to think that we're already in week 3 of you trying to make money on the Underdog NFL Pick'em game. Now, Thursday Night Football is maybe not the most appealing of matchups, but us here locally in Wisconsin, very interested to see the quarterback from that one team higher than 214.5 passing yards. Now, passing yards are down in the NFL. We're going to tell you, as to one prognosticator and one draft expert's genius way of changing all the pass yards, and he might just go lower on all of those statistics. However, your method, whatever the method to the madness you choose to make your Underdog Pick'em picks, you go live your best life and try to go make that money, because that's what we're doing on Underdog Fantasy, trying to take some cash and bring it home. Making picks on Underdog is super easy. It's even easier to get started. All you do is pick higher or lower on your favorite football player stats this fall. Go download their app or go to UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with promo code Billy. Underdog will give you a highly discounted pick to use on your first Pick'em entry, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Billy. Claim your new customer offer of a gimme first pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Wire to wire. Party like ever you want till midnight. Party till midnight. And then remember, you've got to decide, make the choice that you're going to believe that there's a reason this group ended up first place, wire to wire. Make sure you understand that.
All right, enough, boss.
Had the sound inside the Brewers clubhouse yesterday as Pat Murphy was kind of slow playing the boys. Now, Murph already, John Armin, he had the backwards hat on. All right, he had the Central Championship shirt on. Somehow, William Contreras had already turned his division championship shirt into a very deep cutoff because my boy was going, John, straight high school style, right?
The weightlifting cutoff?
Where that cutoff went down to about the waistline of your shorts. William was like, all right, I'm going to need a scissors here real quick. Let's slice that bad boy off. I would also do that if I looked as jacked up as he did and had that nice sweet tattoo on the arm.
I also got to say, I think we came up with something last night in the celebration that I still have not seen yet in any other celebration. I don't know if it's a new trend or we just came up with it. 40s. They were drinking 40s of High Life. I've never seen 40s in a celebration.
And we know how to party.
I just kind of cool.
Well, Armin, why have a 12-ouncer?
No,
why have a pounder if you can have a 40?
Why haven't we been doing 40s the whole time? I just think, I'm like, those are
40s are a lot easier to spray.
Yeah.
Right? It
We
lasts
got
a lot.
40s.
You can spray about 3/4 of it out and then drink the rest.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
No,
And
I just thought
that
it was
is,
great.
and actually, John, you're onto something there because I don't know about you guys. I hate the taste of champagne.
I'm not a big fan
Not
either.
a big fan of
I'm
actually
not.
drinking
Really?
champagne.
Yeah,
No.
I was never
It's
a
to me,
fan.
champagne and wine are like instant headache. I instantly am thinking that I'm drinking something out of a box.
Too
Like it's
sweet.
just too sweet. Like it doesn't kick the right way. But if I could get that
Might
bottle,
need to get a better champagne. Maybe the whole lot of mums isn't working for you.
but if I get the
Andre.
champagne of
Andre.
beers, you give me the champagne of beers
There
in
you
a
go,
40.
Billy. Tell 'em,
I'm
tell
gonna
'em.
be partying with those High Life 40s. That's genius.
Well, okay, but listen, no one's actually drinking this champagne anyway. They're just spraying it all over the place. It's like guys are taking flutes and tinkling each other, you know.
yeah, but you're
cheers.
drinking it from the bottle.
Well,
like,
tinkling.
cheersing or kinkling or clinking, right? No one's like sitting there.
I'd
Let's
like
make
to
a
see what it
toast.
looks like to see guys tinkling each other.
each other.
I've grown up with Mike, and Mike's the best buddy a guy could have. And now at his wedding, it's like a wedding toast. All right, no,
Yeah, were you
Just spray
tinkling
the
with your best
champagne.
man?
No, but when you get the beer and the 40s, now you're like, all right, let's do some shotguns. Let's do Edward 40 hands, stuff like that. All the stuff you used to do in college,
Edward 40 hands
40
is a
hands?
tough one.
No, I couldn't do it, man.
That's
oh,
a
my gosh.
that was right at the top for our rivalry bet for fantasy football. I know people love this, and you guys have gotten a kick out of the things that I've me and my
Fantasy
buddies
sports?
have forced ourselves to do over the last couple. This year's this week's bet, the drinkers dozen, 6 Glazers, 6 High Lifes
That's
in an
awesome.
hour.
That's awesome.
My buddy
That's
John
awesome.
came really close, and I was really disappointed when he had a beer and a half left in the final 10 minutes, and he's just like, I just can't do it. I'm way too full. I'm like, you're a quitter.
6 Glazers.
Quitter.
The
could do that.
Glazers just suck all that up and they actually
Yeah.
expand. One Glazer
It's the
turns into 2
yeah.
in your stomach when you pour a beer on top of it.
No, the
That's,
sugar. It's the sugar.
that's a monster challenge right there.
What do you think is the best way though? Because if I lose, now I did not lose last. I was going to eat all the Glazers, then drink the beers.
Then drink the beers.
Or do you think it's better to slam the beers, finish it off with the Glazers?
Dip the Glazers in the beer like the
I can't go
chestnut.
Kobayashi
Like
style.
chestnut.
I think you smash the beers and then you eat the Glazers. I think
Okay,
that's
yeah.
the way you got to go.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. Soak some of it up.
Because listen, if you have because if you fail, at least that way you have the good stuff in your stomach.
Yeah.
right?
Right. And who doesn't like eating Glazers when they're a little buzzed up?
Are you kidding me? I want a whole box of them at that.
You give me 6 beers in 10 minutes, and I'll definitely be feeling buzzed up. That'll work out well. All right, 414-799-1973. They were buzzed up, partying it all night last night for the Milwaukee Brewers as their NL Central champions. Shirts are on sale at the Brewers team store. How about Brian Butch? Going to be at American Family Field
Oh,
on Friday
yeah.
morning.
They're rolling out Butch. They're rolling the big
Dude,
guns out.
Can we get Butchie to save us a
Robin
flag?
Yount, Brian Butch, Donald Driver, right there. Meet all three of your favorites.
I can't
Like,
wait.
let's go, bro.
I want to meet Brian Butch. I don't know about you guys. I would
Forget
love
Pat
that.
Murphy, Robin Yount, Donald Driver. Let me meet old 32 for
Oh,
the red and white. That's what I'm talking about.
That'd be amazing.
That comes up tomorrow morning, 6 to 9, the drive-through postseason pep rally. And then you can wait in line, talk to Brian Butch, and then listen to us and hang out with us on 9 to noon. Hour 2 on the other side. We touched on it to start. We're back to it before what does Billy know in about 35 minutes from right now. You can get your guesses in on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line 414-799-1973. Jordan Love, Adam Schefter said 50-50 from one source. Now his sources last week said he ain't playing. He ain't playing for 3 weeks. Now it would be almost a surprise if he doesn't play against the Vikings in a week. But a coin flip if he plays against Tennessee, how different does that make the trip to Nashville and the Packers' chances on Broadway? We discuss on hour number 2. He's John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sari, and 9 to noon with all of you statewide on the game.
Looks like Brian Butch is a little tired at this point.
each one of those division winning teams, each one of those playoff teams has kind of had its own story throughout the year. I think 2018 was pretty satisfying because you kind of break through and it's the first one in a while, and the way it was all done and how it kind of developed with game 163 and all that, and the playoff run was really cool. But honestly, for me, I think this one's, pretty much up there with that one because of all the things surrounding this year. Coming in, no one really gives us a chance to do what we've done here, which, it's understandable with what you've lost. Corbin, Woody, Counts, you lose, Devin, you lose Wade to injury really early. So we're all kind of written off, right? So that makes this one kind of special because, we found a way. We faced a lot of adversity. We believed in each other. We came together as a group and got it done. So I'd put this one up there with all of them. And like Reese said, it's the first step of many, and you don't really know how it's going to play out.
Christian Yelich yesterday, before the Brewers beat the Phillies 2-1 and celebrate their NL Central Division title, comparing it to those in the past. Now, the Brewers have won their second straight. First time they've done that since 81-82. 3 titles in the last 4 years. They've won 4 in the last 7. Now, the stats and info department will say, John, 4 in the last 6 years of full seasons. I like that discrepancy. 4 in the last 7 years, the first of which was 2018 that Yelich compared this one to. It's always easier to refute in hindsight because that team was a game away from the World Series, and thanks to him, had a lead in Game 7 after an inning in his solo shot in Game 7 at home. They were the number 1 team in the NL. It's difficult to instantly compare, but just the vibes and the fun factor of it, it's cool to hear a guy who no longer can play still relishing and taking this much enjoyment in the feat that they've accomplished and the season and the postseason that's still to come for this squad. That's pretty awesome to hear.
It is awesome. It is awesome to hear. And it is exciting, right? Pre-sale for wild card tickets, I believe, starts today. And, they have the celebration tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Down there.
It's going to be awesome.
With all the big names that we've said already. And yet they're only 2 games behind the Dodgers and 3 games behind the Phillies with 10 games left to play for a first round bye. So the wild card might not even, come to fruition because there are still things out there on the plate to eat. There are still, achievements to be had.
Yes.
And this Brewers team, I think is going to go for that as hard as they can. And, there might be a spot there, late next week or the following week where you say, okay, we need to tone it down now. We need to rest some guys.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 games, you can't dismiss the fact that the Brewers have more out there to be had yet this season.
Yeah, there's a carrot to chase, and we should go get it. I know Drew and KB yesterday on their show were talking about how much is it really worth trying to go for? Does it matter as much? I think it matters. You're going to get a whole free playoff series win if you can get that first round bye. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I've always looked at first round byes in the NFL, John. I think you absolutely go for it, and I want this team to continue to chase a carrot. It's one of those deals as well. I want them to all have a goal to reach for. You do that, you stay sharp, you stay ready. I haven't said that about every team the Brewers have put in the playoffs before. There have been veteran teams you want to set up the playoffs. But in this case, if you can get a first round bye, if you can get them to stay focused, stay hot, and stay lathered up, why not? No reason not to do it. I think it's definitely a worthwhile goal to go chase. And I know my man Yelich didn't compare it to 2018, but that's a different topic.
No, he absolutely did.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why, Armin, is because the chase down of the Cubs in 18
absolutely
was so awesome. And the final moment where after years and 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 years listening to Cubs fans invade American Family Field, Brewers fans invaded Wrigley Field there on game 163
and won it in their house.
Won it in their house. So like that sweetness is going to be tough to take over. But I don't think Yelich is necessarily completely wrong with this one, just because of how surprising it was for the enjoyment factor. Like I get that 18 one was different, and it absolutely was. But let's add these up at the end of it. Let's add
like
this
that.
up. Let's add this up at the end of the postseason. I hate this. Is to me, John, this is like comparing a few years ago Tiger to Jack Nicklaus. Why don't we just why don't both careers be over? Then we can compare. Or before Tom Brady won the additional, 3 Super Bowls, it was like, let's not compare him in Montana. Let's let both of the careers be over, and then we can compare. Bad for the sports talk
No, we
radio
can't
guy
do
to be
that.
saying
We
that
can't
because
do
that's our
that.
business.
We can't do that. I don't like that. I don't enjoy that. We like projecting. We like predicting. We like being right and carrying receipts when we're wrong, right? That's what
That's
we like
true.
to do.
That's true. Yeah, we do.
John, how many times after winning the Super Bowl was every Packer playoff team compared to, well, what does this feel like that year? Does this feel like this? I mean, that's something that the conversation always goes there, right? Where we're comparing it to this team of the past. And you're right.
Rob Reichel did right after week 2 of the Packers season, said, this is very similar, reminiscent to when that 2010 team went to New England and played with the Patriots.
Yeah,
without their starting
in
quarterback.
a lot of ways, it's a tribute to those teams. Like when you have a great team and you accomplish something great, you always will be. Everyone will compare to that team, and that's a tribute to the greatness of the accomplishment, which I get. But it is funny how that always becomes I'm sure you heard it ad nauseum every time going to the playoffs afterwards.
Well, and here's the deal. You want to be compared to 2010? Yes, only because of what we ultimately accomplished,
Right.
which was the Super Bowl championship. But do you really want to squeak into the playoffs by winning your last 2 games? Do you want to have to win your last 2 games to get into the playoffs? No, I don't necessarily want to be compared to that. Do you want to need some breaks in the playoffs to get through? I mean, let's be honest. Jay Cutler got hurt. Their backup got hurt, and their backups threw an interception to B.J. Raji for a touchdown in that game to win. And listen, everything we did was a great accomplishment, but you don't necessarily want to be compared. Now, I understood why people compared last year's Packers team to 2010. They did have to win their last couple games to get into the playoffs. They were hot at the end of the season, and they were a very dangerous team, especially in that first round of the playoffs, the wild card round, and even the first 3 quarters of the divisional round. So I understand where those comparisons come, but the comparisons really stopped at the circumstance of what it took for those 2 teams. But when you do get compared to a great team, you realize, well, you have to do something good to get compared to that great team in the first place.
Yeah, we're doing something right to be in this conversation. I do love now that we get to the playoffs and everybody will say, I want this track and that one. John, I don't know about you as a competitor. I'm always in the camp, and people will knock me for this. We can make it as easy as possible, right? Like stuff doesn't have to be close. Is one of my favorite sayings on the sideline when a football game is going well. No one said this has to be close. Finish the job and be done with it, and don't apologize for it. If you don't have to play the Dodgers, I'm fine. Don't have to play the Phillies, I'm fine. I'll be very okay, whatever the path is, as long as you get through it.
That's kind of where I sit, Billy, on this whole thing. When people say it's just one game. No, it's not. No, I fully acknowledge one game isn't going to end your season, but I've been in enough seasons where one game changed the outcome of the season potentially. When we went up to Buffalo and we lost that game in Buffalo.
Yep.
Well, what did that do to us? Well, that made it so that our NFC Championship game against the Seahawks had to be on the road. 2014, that playoff game didn't have to be on the road, probably shouldn't have been on the road. And even though we lost to the Seahawks the first game of the season, we had a better season than them for the most part. But we lose up there in Buffalo when we shouldn't have. And it was just one game. Didn't keep us from getting a bye, but it did keep us from playing the NFC Championship game at home. Similarly, in 2012, we went up to Minnesota. And we lost to the Vikings the last game of the regular season.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't a big deal. We already had a division wrapped up. And we beat Minnesota the next week very handedly. But that meant we had to go to San Francisco after they got the bye.
Yep.
And they got to keep a playbook of read options and things that they did with Colin Kaepernick against us and saved it for that game with us versus potentially showing that in a wild card game that they would have hosted. Had we had the film on that, I'm sure we would have came out with a different defensive scheme than running cover 2 man behind him and not being able to have vision when he was running all over us. Yes, I've seen the long-term ramifications of what just one game does.
Yeah, in a round in baseball is just so impactful. Murph was talking about it yesterday, and he's like, he kind of said it like rather sarcastically, where he said, it sounds like the home teams are actually at a disadvantage. Seems like the road teams have been doing well. Doesn't matter, right? Like I'm still going to take it at home. I'm still going to prefer to play less games, even though neither of the top 2 seeds have advanced in the National League either of the last 2 years. I'm very okay with trying to be the first and leave the Braves and Dodgers in 22 and 23 respectively as the teams with the bye that both got bounced in the divisional round.
Yeah, I think there's there's something that goes on here, and Drew and KB were talking about the teams yesterday that made the World Series from the wild card round, and it's true. I mean, this is more of an even playing field. It's more of a crapshoot once you get to the playoffs than ever before, right? You remember the Nationals coming from the wild card round, the Rangers and their teams, but those are also exceptions to the rule that stick out to us because we remember. It still doesn't make it in my opinion, a disadvantage to be at home.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it a disadvantage to get that bye, to still get that round. It increases your chances to win, even though the chances are still low against the field because of a large playoff group. It doesn't mean you don't want those advantages, in my opinion. You still have to play well to get there.
I'm just glad
when you're there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just glad the Brewers got a bite at the apple, right? Like, they're taking that bite, and hopefully they eat the entire thing. I'll eat the core and all of it. I'll spit out the seeds at the end of it. Feel very, very good with that one. Now, people, you can say just one game. Only one game might be what Jordan Love ends up missing here with this sprained MCL. John, we started out the show with it. We are anxiously and patiently awaiting more of the insider off, as a lot of them are potentially retracting and changing their initial timelines and statements on Jordan Love. He practices yesterday, sports a nice leg sleeve, a little bit of a brace underneath there. However, if it is just one game he misses and you go into Tennessee with a very stout defensive front, this might be even more impactful and important. I was talking to a young man yesterday about this Packers game up in the North Woods. And he had asked me, can they run the same style that they did with Malik Willis against Tennessee? Tennessee's allowed the least amount of yards in football through 2 weeks on average. 209 yards per game opponents are getting against them. It's going to be at a premium against a veteran defense that you might not have thought it. Packers might really need Jordan Love coming up this week and not be able to rest like people want to say.
It's funny you said that word need, right? Yesterday we put out a poll, Billy, do the Packers need Jordan Love to play this week? Oh, we did that yesterday before he took the field at practice. Do the Packers need Jordan Love to play this week? 79% of Nooners out there, 527 votes. 79% said no, don't need Jordan Love in this ballgame.
A lot of Malik Willis fans over here. Okay.
Listen, and then I said, okay, so need for what? You need him for what? You need him this week to make the playoffs? No. You need him this week to win the Super Bowl? No. I understand that. And if that's all you're basing this claim on, then okay. But do the Packers need Jordan Love this week to win the football game? That may be the case. That very well could be the way this thing is unfolding. And the Packers might feel the same way too. And believe me, when I say I hate the just one game term, Packers coaches, Packers player, everybody in there hates it's just one game thing. They are in there to win every single game.
Absolutely.
They want home games. They want buys in the playoffs. They want to not have to win their last 3 games to get into the playoffs. They want all of those luxuries so that they can have more options at the end of the season. I was surprised to see so many people said the Packers don't need Jordan Love in this ball game this weekend. I want him in this ball game. I need him in this ball game.
I'm with you on that.
I want to go out there and have a convincing win against the Titans, not need a script to unravel and play out perfectly like it did this past week, because rarely does a game work to your favor as perfectly as it did for the Packers against the Colts.
And for Tennessee, like their strength of a veteran team, that they're definitely more of a defensive oriented team. And that's where they stopped giving the football away with Will Levis, but like they're built up the middle. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best defensive tackles that they've had in football for a number of years now. They double it up with Devondre Sweat from Texas up the middle in the draft. Like they got a lot of beef up there, John, that I think you're going to have to try to attack them through the air a little bit more. Like just watching it and seeing their first 2 games, we laughed and had fun with Caleb Williams on it. they were part of the reason why Caleb Williams had, I think, 83 yards in his first NFL game. They were one of the exact same reasons why Aaron Rodgers had, I think, a $167 last week and had to make some pretty insane plays that they're continuing to run on ESPN to win the game. Like, you're going to have to beat Tennessee if Billy Jeans isn't going to beat himself and throw the football to you. And as much as you'd like to be able to count on that, because it's happened each of the last 2 weeks, I'm not confident you can to win Sunday.
You know, Billy, I'll say it like this. Last week when we came in here, Jordan Love didn't practice Wednesday, and it was, okay, it's probably going to be Malik Willis. We felt, pretty confident in that, even though the stuff that came out on Friday with Jordan Love being questionable, you still felt, yeah, it's probably leaning towards Malik Willis. And I went from early in the week saying, do you know how hard it is to win with a backup quarterback in the NFL? And I think I had the Packers losing, when I made my prediction on Brick and the Stick at by 7 points or maybe even by 10 points, maybe 24-14 or something like that, maybe 20-10, something like. But as the week went on and more film that I watched, I said, well, no, the Packers can do this and the Packers can do that. And I actually see this being a much closer game. And I picked it a 1-point loss for the Packers when I was on here, because by the end of the week, I started seeing the way that the Packers can attack the Colts and how they can defend against the Colts. This week, I came in and I said, well, even with Malik Willis, they're going to have a dynamic game plan and they're going to be able to, move the football. And I see our defense being able to take the ball away because they lead the league in takeovers so far. And I don't think that's a fluke. I don't think that's a 2-game fluke. I think that's something that I think the Packers are going to finish top 5 in takeaways this year, hands down. Easily, I'll make that prediction right now. I feel very comfortable saying that Packers top 5 in takeaways this year. I feel very comfortable in saying that. But now as I watched more film, especially the film that I watched in the second half for the Packers, when I watched the adjustments made by the Colts and how they were able to very quickly adapt to what the Packers did to them in the first half, I thought, well, now the Tennessee Titans, they have that same film. The Tennessee Titans, a little better in the run D. With Malik Willis, I don't know where the offense is going to be created from, where you're going to get this type of production replacement if the run game doesn't run for 250 yards. So that makes me a little leery on that. And then defensively, when you're on the road, sometimes things can get a little skewed. The offense has it a little easier. So, I don't know. Basically what I'm trying to say is, as the week goes on, I feel this game being a much tighter game and a game that I really feel like we need Jordan Love to start if we want to win. You know what? I think there's a couple things in effect here really quick. It's the flaw of thinking because you were able to find a way to win last week with him, it's going to automatically happen again. Totally. That it can happen again. That's just not the way it works. And we get the mentality. Like everyone, we're all the same, especially our listeners. I know the Nooners think the same way. It's getting close to E, but I can push this another 20 miles. I can get that thing to the next gas station, and I can buy myself a little extra time. They're thinking that with Jordan Love. That's not also the way it works. Listen, as far as I know, none of us have our MD. All right. I'm sure Jordan Love and Doc McKenzie and the staff will make sure he's not going to go out there and play if it's not safe for him to do so. It doesn't mean he can't re-injure. You can always get injured in the National Football League. Right. But I don't think it's going to be a matter of if we save him an extra week, he's that much more healthy. I think we think that the logic works that way. I don't know that it does. Right. Yeah. I don't know that it's a total for one of Armin's favorite sayings. I don't know that it's a keep the cookies in the oven a little bit longer and make sure that they're done. Jordan's quote yesterday at his locker as to what he needs to do to be able to go. That just comes down to the workouts and the things I do on the side when I'm not there practicing with the trainers and trying to push myself, whether it's reacting to pressure in a game or just being in the pocket, being able to take hits, just reacting and pushing myself in those workouts when I'm by myself to make sure I'm confident when I go in the game. It's good to get some practice reps in. It's good to get the feel of what it's going to be like again. But at the same time, there's nothing like when the live bullets fly, you're in the game and that rush is real. So there's a lot of things I might not experience before I get back in the game. Sounds like a guy that's getting ready to play. Like I just sounds like a guy that's getting ready and preparing himself mentally, John, to go out there. It does. It really does. And you got to put your mind in that space before you put your body in that space. And I think that's what Jordan Love's doing this week. I go back to the videos that I saw of him. I know it was just individual and I know it was just warm up. I know there aren't people falling around his legs. He was moving quite well. Oh yeah. He was looking pretty good. John, and you said it, you got to put your mind, you got to get your mind in that space earlier in the week. There are some guys
that just can't do it, right? Like, I mean, there are some guys that are just not great at being able to compartmentalize it. Then on the other side, there are dudes that play better, I fully believe, when they're in that mode, when they know I'm a little less than 100% and I know exactly what I have to do to be right and to protect myself and to be at the top of my game. Like, there's a weird line there, and it's a fine one with professional athletes.
It's funny you bring that up because I actually agree with you on that. I think most guys in the NFL actually lock in a little bit more when they know they're a little dinged up. They pay attention to things a little bit more, the details of a route, the way that they go about their first couple steps, and what the defense is bringing on them, because not only do they feel like they could be a step slow, they want to be now one step quicker, so they have to process everything in that moment.
In 14, Aaron definitely did that with the calf. That's just my opinion. But I think he definitely was. When he was out of the pistol, that whole playoffs, he was so locked in and precise with some of his reads.
Yeah, he was a savage.
I don't know if you'd agree, John. That's my opinion. But.
All right. Now the guesses are already coming in.
Thank you.
They're coming in.
Yes, get those guesses in.
A lot of high guesses. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Now I've gotten an 8 and I've gotten a 7 since we started. What does Billy know again? What's happening?
Billy, you started off well. Are you gonna regress to the mean, or is this your new mean? Is this your new average?
Just might be new segment, new me, new sponsor, new me. I might just be getting all these things right. Get your guesses in 1 through 10, 414-799-1973. What does Billy know? We play with Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and in Sussex. Your opportunity to win a free hour of simulator time on their full swing simulators, courses from around the world. Great place to play. And I'll be there playing coming up next week. Got more on that coming up. It is 9 to noon. What does Billy know is next on the game?
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. A lot of talk today about your division champ Milwaukee Brewers, and I don't care who you are, this has been a surprise to all of us. This new manager, the pieces that went elsewhere, the other pieces that got hurt, and yet what an outstanding season. Well, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is here to remind you they too finished first in the window and door leagues. Pella manufactures all their own products. Each one of those products gets tested thousands of times to ensure it stands the test of time. Quality craftsmanship and innovation design are built into every Pella product for timeless beauty and performance, and you will pick each one of those details. Pella windows and doors are also the best in class, not only from their endless styles, but from the features you can't see. And now listen to something you almost can't believe. $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month. That's what you pay if you jump on this deal. That's $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month. But that deal only lasts until September 30th. So take advantage. Head down to the showroom today and please let Gina Della know that John Kuhn sent you. Visit PellaWI.com today.
9 to noon on the game. That music brings in a lot of people's favorite segment that is back and maybe better than ever on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. It's What Does Billy Know? It's now presented by Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and in Sussex, 2 very convenient locations for you to play whenever you so choose, because their leagues start in October. And you're like, I want to get into a simulator league, but I don't know what day I can play. Best part is you and your partner pick the day of the week for you to go play. If Tuesday at 4:30 works, sweet. Let's book a tee time for that. Or, you know what, next week, it's gonna be really, really tough, dude. What about Thursday at about 8? Boom. Go and check the simulator time, reserve your spot, and you can get your score in. Just get it in one time in the week, and you are in. And coming up next week on Wednesday, September 25th, coming up at 7:00, I'm going to be at Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha, hanging out. I'm going to try to keep my swing fresh. All right. I made some improvements. John, I moved the ball, back in my stance a little bit. I was doing all those things that those online swing coaches were telling me. Yeah. And I think I figured it out. So Tap In Golf Bar is going to keep me fresh all year long. I think I finally cracked the code.
Special appearance. What are you, Brian Butch? Special appearance, man? I'm just saying. That's pretty awesome, though. What are you, Brian Butch?
Oh, I love that Brian Butch drop. I have not heard that Brian Butch drop. Was that him eating like some Cheerios or something?
I don't know. I don't know what.
Oh my God!
He eats a lot of stuff.
Pumpkins, cucumbers, tomatoes.
Yeah, they got full service bar over at Tap In Golf Bar, John. So I mean, I'm probably gonna have some nachos and some cold ones, and then hit the simulator coming up on September 25th. That is on Wednesday, potato. But I don't know that I'm gonna be doing all that Butchie's doing there at that appearance.
All right, let's get to this. Let's get to this, because if not, Armin will play a drop every second, and we'll never get to it. We'll just laugh for the whole segment. All right,
it's always wet.
Oh,
Armin's teased this a couple times now, so he must have been taking the night off last night. So what does Billy know about the Hawk Tua girl?
Yes. Oh, you're finally getting the Haley Welch conversation in. Okay, here we go.
Watching Brewers last night.
You really are a fan of young Haley Welch.
She's funny. That's all. I just think she's funny.
Wow. Okay.
She entertains me. Now we're supposed to be doing the entertainment business.
The Nooners are going to be so pissed that this is the topic. And this is the first question. Billy, what is the Hawk Tua girl's real name?
Okay. I didn't know if you knew that at first when I wrote these a month ago. Go.
Her name is Haley Welch.
Haley Welch, everybody.
Yes,
all right.
Welch.
So you got one. All right.
Thank you.
You guys would always accuse me of doing them too easy, too wrong, too strong, too soft, whatever.
That's how they accuse you of doing it?
These are the questions.
All
one
right.
out of one.
Shannon, let's stop talking about how you do it. John, question number 2.
Yeah.
In which state was Haley Welch first interviewed and became known as the Hawk Tua girl?
Oh, it was in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, see? Trying to make it topical for this week.
Tennessee. Boom.
See,
Boom.
This was a Tennessee.
She was the only 10 I see. Boom.
Thanks, Dad.
Question number 3.
You gotta own it.
What did Haley Welch say in a podcast she did for a living before she went viral?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I know she was in like a small town, so I'm not gonna say like server. I'm gonna go with like factory worker.
I'm gonna say that you're correct. She worked in a mattress spring factory. I guess you weren't specific there, but I'll give you that factory.
Oh, bang. Okay,
factory
let's
worker.
go.
Should I give that to him?
I think so.
Yeah.
She was I think so.
Yeah,
Let's go factory work. Come on, Haley.
I'm giving you a
Backbone of
Billy's
America.
3 for 3.
yeah.
Question number 4. This is the car that Haley Welch currently says she drives.
Now, she could be driving around in something cool. Like she could have woke up in a new Bugatti. Let's be honest.
She could.
Right? Not feeling it. I'm gonna go with one of John's favorites. I think she's driving a Range Rover. Damn.
Oh, no. She's driving a Nissan Altima.
She drives an Altima.
What?
She keeps it reals.
Come on.
She still drives. I still drive my Altima.
Well, get a Silverado or something.
Well, maybe at some point she will.
Come
She said she
on.
wants a Ford Bronco.
Built Ford tough. Why don't we get it?
She says she wants a Bronco, but she's like, I still drive my Altima.
Well, her and Luke Tenuta.
That's right.
Great
That's
story.
absolutely right.
Great part of that from the Aaron Rodgers book. Bought Luke Tenuta that Ford Bronco. Okay,
Yeah.
Haley Welch, go get you a Ford Bronco.
3 out of 4.
Question number 5. Haley had spoken of a mysterious love Okay. Haley had spoken of a mysterious love interest / a boyfriend and has only called him by this nickname.
That would be Pookie.
Pookie.
That would be Pookie.
You know
Yes,
that,
would
Billy.
be Pookie.
See, Billy knows.
How many times have I heard the video? Come on, Pookie.
You guys have really tuned into these Haley Welsh videos, haven't
Well,
you?
we're
These
on,
Oh, yeah.
we're on Twitter. Oh, mostly Billy, too. I mean, you see this stuff on Twitter, and there's clips.
It's also still somehow a topic of conversation for the high schoolers. I mean, like
Well,
the kids at football practice still are talking about Haley Welch.
You could have given me this topic and I wouldn't have gotten one right. I may have gotten
There-
Tennessee.
you
I
got
wouldn't have gotten her
Tennessee.
name right
You would've
because I'm
got-
bad with
yeah.
names. I wouldn't have gotten her name right because I'm bad with names, and everything else I think I probably would have gotten.
You would have
wrong.
got a casino.
Because when
not a casino,
her videos pop up and her interviews pop up, I just scroll, which means
Swipe
she's
it
out
quickly.
of my she's out of my algorithm.
well, that's
right?
the thing.
I clicked
watch
on
them.
it too many times, and it is
Because
just
you gotta
flooded.
watch if you don't even have to click on it. If that thing sits on your screen, I think they said for 12 seconds, it's now in the algorithm and it's going
Mhm.
to continue to come back. So for everybody out there who's tired of looking at videos of frogs jumping off of logs, well, stop looking at them. Just scroll
It's
right
too
past.
fun though.
Yeah, I'm on the
Animals
nature
doing
videos.
funny things
I'm-
is always going to be
Nature
top.
is amazing.
I'm on
Is a
this.
great
Amazing.
follow.
The nature
Yes.
is amazing is always popping up now, which I love.
And Armin's chaotic club vids is one of the things that I got.
but they're slowing
up
down with content. They're slowing down with content. I need more funny club videos.
My buddy Fuchs has got to stop sending me all these sick videos because my algorithm's all messed up right now. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Come on, Fuchs.
Question
4 out of
number
5.
figure it out,
6.
Fuchs.
Haley had her first ever paid appearance at this casino in Florida for $20,000 or $30,000 based on various reports. What was that casino?
Casino in Florida.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I only know one casino in Florida. It's the Seminole Hard Rock Casino.
Yes, that's true. Do you know where it is?
It's in Tampa, right?
Yeah, Hollywood, Florida.
Let's go.
I knew you'd get that because
I got a censor for whenever there's machines.
There's an
around.
MGM, I think, in Fort Lauderdale.
There's actually a bunch of casinos that in
Really?
Florida now. Yeah, they're emerging in Florida
Because they were pretty dialed in with sports gambling as well, with just
Yes.
kind of the Hard Rocks. Okay, good. I'm glad that they're expanding. Let those Floridians gamble a little bit. Come on.
I have been to that
Question-
one, by the way.
Number
Not that that
brag.
matters.
Sick
7.
brag.
On August 15th, a little over a month ago, Haley threw out the first pitch before a home game for what team?
Oh yeah. Oh, I know this one. The New York Mets.
Yeah.
It actually pissed off a lot of their
A
fans.
lot of their
ton.
fans.
Oh, yeah.
They were really mad.
Francesa went in on it. A beautiful,
I gotta find that.
beautiful bit by. Oh, are you kidding me, Francesa? So looked in here, Welch, Haley. What is a Haley Welch? There you go, Mike. At a baby.
Yeah,
Go
this is the
dig
t-
yourself
This
in
is
there.
the team that has the grimace throw out first pitches all the time. Okay.
And then basically adopted Grimace as a mascot there early in the season.
It's not that serious. A lot of people throw out first pitches. A lot of people.
Yeah, like Armin
Yeah,
Sarnia.
a lot of people that don't matter throw out first pitches. Don't worry about
Who
it.
said that?
No, I'm
Go
just
ahead,
saying.
John.
Yeah.
This guy, unreal.
Like Zabe said, didn't he say 15 minutes of fame? She got 50. I mean, the Mets fell right there around minute 12, 13.
Mhm. Yeah. And
there's
Armin's
nothing
trying
wrong
to
with
make
that.
sure that it extends to 16 minutes.
That's right.
if I'm-
Again,
Well,
I've-
she at least
I've
has 3
seen-
more questions.
I've seen like 3% of her content, but in the 3%, I don't know. She seems kind of cool.
See?
I wouldn't mind her coming to Nooner Day. I wouldn't
She's
mind
funny.
it.
That
I'm
would be
just
fun.
saying,
She's funny.
I think the Nooners would relate to her.
We should
and have a
invite her
really
to
good
Nooner
time.
Day.
All right,
Yeah.
you're
We
invited,
should-
Haley.
Armin, will you do that?
Sure, I'll DM her.
Send her a Christmas card. DM her.
I don't
You're
have
sliding into her DM.
Slide
Dude,
into
you
her
can't be
DM.
sliding into
I'll
girls'
have,
DMs?
I'll have Luddy do it. He's better at that.
I don't know. He never got the DM back from Annie
is
Agar. I
Luddy
don't
some
think.
sort of Renaissance man? Can he pull this off?
Taylor
It's
Mathis.
pretty impressive.
Taylor Mathis hit him back. You know that?
Whoa,
Who's
he's in the
Taylor-
walking
Taylor-
bets category.
The
Who's
other,
Taylor Mathis?
the other walking bets girl, not Lucy.
The walking
Okay.
bets girl that
No, you
yeah.
don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know this, but that's okay. It's good.
John, trust me, you've seen it, and you I think you
John
know what
doesn't
we're
know
talking
about it.
I think you know what we're
6
talking
out of
about.
7 is the
I
score,
think you
by
know
the
what we're
way.
talking about. It's all good.
The big question is, I am more 50-50 on whether I know this than Jordan Love playing this. That's how I feel. Question number 8. Welsh famously joined this country music star on stage and sang his song Revival with him.
Oh, damn. Revival. No clue. Zach Bryan.
That is correct.
Is correct.
Hell yeah.
Well
Let's
done.
go.
You had some clue. 'Cause you got it
7
right.
out of 8.
Let's go.
Question
Let's
number
He's
go.
on
9.
fire.
Come on.
Haley Welch recently announced her new podcast called Talk to Her, where she will give
Come on,
relationship.
that's funny. That's funny. I don't care who you are. All right, talk to
That's
her.
what I mean. I really think she would be great at Nooner Day.
I think she would
Anyways-
fit in very well. at
Anyways,
Nooner Day.
speaking
I'll have
of
30,000
Talk
to
to
give.
Her, where she gives relationship advice, among other things, it is going to be a part of a Better Banner, the media company founded by this American YouTuber, actor, and professional boxer.
Okay, the last one saved the day. Jake Paul.
I made it too easy. Yeah,
You made
Jake
it
Paul.
way
He's
too
wow.
It's on his banner. She's doing the podcast for.
All right.
8 out of 9, Billy.
You should have just said it's going to be a part of Better Banner, the media company founded by who? Anyways,
Yeah.
question. number 10.
I can. I'm sure the listeners are going crazy mad at me right now for not making it
yeah.
tough for the Nooners.
Oh, I'm looking at a couple of them right now. Question number 10. Who does Welsh repeatedly say she lives with and will continue to live with?
Who she live with?
Mhm.
Pookie.
And will continue to live with.
She living with Pookie?
Nope.
What?
Oh, look, Armin was so quick to push that button
Finally
so that
got
he could
one
have
wrong.
pushback against the Nooners.
Finally got one wrong.
Her
No.
granny,
Granny,
Billy.
she
Her
lives with-
granny.
She lives with Granny.
damn.
She lives with
I
Granny.
probably would have guessed that one correct. John would have
It's a
gotten
good one.
2. Billy got 8 out of 10. We will find who guessed 8 on Armin's incredibly soft and easy third week in a row.
I guess they
Billy
knew.
smashes it. We will find somebody. We will pick a winner, and we will decide who's going golfing. Who wants to go golfing? Who wants that free golf round? Who wants it? It's up for grabs. Armin will pick it when we return. Stick around, 9 to noon.
had him in shambles.
That is
She
Bill.
had him backpedaling.
Man, put her on stage and have a debate with her because she will own the show. Wow.
She just
She flipped the script on the interviewer. She
On
started
Bill Maher.
interviewing him, and she was trying to set him up with her nanny.
We should get her to moderate the next debate. They should have one more debate, and they should get Hawk Tuah Girl to moderate
exactly. I love
it.
it.
No fact checking, none of it. Just the most off the wall questions, and see how you can handle that stuff while the firing lines are going. That's awesome. So that was on what Bill Maher's
Bill Maher show or podcast. I
podcast.
guess.
Everyone's
Yeah.
got a podcast nowadays.
Right,
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic.
That was on Bill Maher's
That was
podcast?
Bill Maher. That was Bill Maher. Yeah. She ate him alive. He couldn't get his. Usually he controls it.
That was Bill Maher.
Oh, yeah, oh,
She
yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
controlling there
He was
like a
smoking something.
puppet.
Dude, that's crazy. That is
She
wild.
had him like a
Tongue tied.
Answer Bill. It's letting up.
Wait a second. You're trying to tell me that's Bill Maher?
I'll send you the clip.
That's crazy. That does not sound like Bill Maher.
His
Wow.
voice is so much deeper there, and he has a southern accent.
Yeah, he was smoking something, so I'm assuming
Oh,
that.
okay.
Okay,
Oh,
because
wow.
he
See it.
talks about. Okay, I
Yeah,
get it now.
that makes
Yeah, I'll
sense.
send it to
Okay.
you right now, John. So you
that,
can.
that naturally makes
right,
your
Bill
voice
Maher.
deeper.
My God. There we go.
You want to
Yeah,
hit
it
some
does.
He
baritones?
always
Throw something together.
That's my grandpappy. That's
Well-
grandpappy. I ain't gonna call you Pawpaw.
Not Pawpaw. No, nothing creepy like that. All right, that is Haley Welch, aka
In her
Hawk Tuah
16th
Girl.
minute of fame because Armin revived her. Now
She
she's
ain't
back.
dying. She ain't finishing as long as Armin Sarian has an opportunity. No pause. All right, Armin. So that is Haley. She was the topic of conversation
Yeah.
for What Does Billy Know? Week number 3 back in action now with Tappan Golf Bar, Waukesha, and in Sussex. Who's getting that free hour of simulator
Well,
time?
I'm gonna reward the one and only person who believed in you to get 8, and that's Kurt
Whoa.
Mount Pleasant. A lot of 6s, a lot of 7s.
Kurt?
But Kurt Mount Pleasant, who's a real one apparently, because he believed in you. So Kurt, please text back your info. I'll be in touch with you.
Appreciate it, Kurt, and appreciate Tappan Golf Bar, Waukesha, and in Sussex for being a part of the program and being in on What Does Billy Know? Guys, now just before we hit our investment hour here, we got to touch on this. This is coming over trending now. Everyone's favorite Dov Kleiman has accrued a video via X from John James Adunze.
Oh boy.
Now, that would be reportedly the father of Bears rookie wide receiver Roma Dunze. And James posted a clip with no context, no words, just a video from the wide view of Rome standing on the A in Bears in the back of the end zone with, again, no context, just sharing a clip of his son running open in the end zone in his first NFL game with the Chicago Bears. Do we already have a problem on our hands
Here
in
we
Chicago?
go. Here we
Can we
go.
get Rome's dad to be fighting with Caleb's dad about their sons not playing nice with each other in the NFL? That might be peak Armin Sarian life if the Bears new rookie tandem ends up infighting in 2 weeks.
You know, it used to be growing up, you had the parents on the sidelines of the Pop Warner games saying the things that they were going to say. And you just had to worry about, like, after the team shook hands, if the parents were going to pass each other in the parking lot. And then you got to high school where there were some parents that stood down at the 20, some parents that stood at the other 20 because they just couldn't take the way that certain parents were going. And then maybe in college, but college, the stands are big enough and parents start quieting down a little bit. This is going all the way to the NFL where people's parents, players' parents are out there caping for them. And listen, here's the deal. As a parent myself, man, I understand it. I feel it. I feel it all the time. You want to stick up for your kid. You want to cape for your kid, but you can't do it. Not in this setting, not in this form.
You're not helping
You do it
them.
in every other way, but not in this form.
Yeah, but you know what, John? This is just the next form of conversation now. It's the internet, and you're right. It's one of those things. I'm sure it's tempting. Don't do it. Listen, it's not going to end well. It never ends well. Like,
It really didn't end
especially
well
with
for the
fans.
Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Remember, this is how it all started with Odell Beckham Sr. posting all the videos of Baker Mayfield not throwing it to Odell while he was open. People ripping on Baker because he's playing through a hurt shoulder. And now, John, he seems to be 10x the quarterback that Cleveland has, and they paid 50x what they were paying Baker to come and bring Deshaun Watson in. And it kind of all started with something very similar to this.
I will say, as a player, I don't look at Rome Odunze one certain way because of this, because you can't help the stuff that your parents do out there wildly, and recklessly on Twitter. So this may not have any effect on the Chicago Bears whatsoever. I mean,
I hope
and players know that as they look around and see each other. Hey, one of the greatest things was getting to meet everybody's parents and learn about where they came from, and to realize, oh, your family got issues too. Okay, glad to know we're all in the same boat.
Everyone's got them. Everyone's got them. So there's no conversation about this in the locker room, because I think about this. There's
there's going to be somebody who brings it up, and it's going to be a joke, and it's going to be laughing. He's going to take a couple shots across the bow with this one.
Okay, good, because I always wonder. It
might even be a coach that says it.
Sure, with one of Drew and KB's favorite guests, Krista Lynn, Christian Watson's mom, and Christian Watson's dad. They both are very outspoken on Twitter. I always wondered how that plays in the locker room. I just want Caleb Williams' dad to respond, because Caleb Williams' dad was reportedly the one that was leaking out all the information, John. Like, he wants ownership in the team. We're not signing here, and here. Caleb's dad's a little different now. So if Caleb and James' dad start fighting, then we could really have some fun. What if they just fought live on 670? Oh, they just called Waddle and Sylvie on AM 1000 and they just started battling with each other.
Yeah, that'd be amazing radio. I would love it.
Or you could do it here on 97.3 The Game,
Call
9 to
us
noon.
up.
You call us, James Odunze and Caleb Williams Sr. We'll have some fun. We'll let you guys duke it out. Not during hour number 3, though, because we're really busy. It's our favorite one. It's our investment hour. We need caller number 15 in honor of Rome Odunze's number. Caller number 15 will be the contestant for You Better You Bet. Get your picks in for week 3 and get in on the investment hour when hour 3 lines up next, 9 to noon on The Game. 9 to noon, hour 3 with you here on the game. Hour is brought to you by Happy Place Hemp at happyplacehemp.com. Everybody relax with some Happy Place Hemp and get 25% off your entire order every time when you use promo code Billy at happyplacehemp.com or just stop in Muskego. Don't like saying that this week. The Arrowhead Muskego week.
Big game this week.
Not a big week that I start dropping in Muskego. But listen, if you want to go
Are
in
they
there,
rivals?
yeah, and John, they've gotten the best of us. They've gotten the best of us. All the 2 years that I've been there, this was year number 3 as we try to take down the Muskego Warriors. They've been the class right now. The
T-shirts that
class
say
game.
unfinished business, because if you don't, you're not winning. You need to do that.
Yeah.
That's rule A1 in high school.
Yeah,
Create
I've
T-shirts.
seen that
the T-shirt
for,
game. The T-shirt game for that week for a team you can't beat or for one of your rivals, it needs to be printed.
So I think they
you
might
still have tomorrow.
Those might be the Hawkfest shirts because this is Hawkfest this weekend. Big weekend over at Arrowhead.
like Hawkfest,
Like
or
Hawkzilla?
Hawkfest?
Like Hawkfest, yeah, no doubt about it.
No, I mean, so I think everybody's rival is Arrowhead.
Well, that's why the shirt says everybody's rival.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they make shirts
This
about
year-
Arrowhead, John.
This
is what
year, the
happened.
shirt was John A versus all y'all. We already know what the deal is.
Everybody,
We already know
So
what the
you
deal
do-
is.
So you do have a shirt.
Oh yeah. We got shirts.
Are they the Hawks, Muskego?
Do we still
No,
wear
we're the Hawks.
Oh, Arrowhead,
Warhawks.
Warhawks. Oh, I don't think it's
We're
Do
the
we
Hawks.
still
'Cause I
wear
was a hustling
jerseys
Hawk.
to school on Fridays?
They do. Yep.
Oh, good.
Yep.
At least all the
It's a
great
tradition that cannot
traditions-
die.
No, you got to have
all
that.
the great traditions in sports that have passed and gone away, and now you got analysts saying they want 2 high safeties to be removed.
Oh, we got to get
in
to
the
that.
NFL. So many people are talking about that. So many things have changed.
Right.
But the one, what are some other things that have gone the way of the white buffalo here?
Well, John, the one that I was glad to see actually revived itself was the homecoming proposal for the player after the game, right? We had one of our players busted that thing out last game. Appreciate that, right? Because no one was going. These kids were not going to the homecoming dance.
No, it's even worse than that now. I heard that kids don't even ask other kids to go. They just roll with the squad.
Just go with the squad.
It's like a bachelor and a bachelorette party going and meeting up at the high school together.
And John, that's what I asked. Like the ones I'm like, oh, so you guys are just going as a group, right? No, coach, we're probably not going. Hold on. Everybody sit down right now.
Not even going to homecoming.
All of you are sitting down right now.
Gonna miss
All
that.
of you are signing your permission slips and you're going to the dance. All right. I'm sick and tired of this. You guys are having some fun and
What else-
celebrating here for the dance.
What else is going here?
It's
Like
not
I
even
was
a fun
Billy, I
code.
was shocked when I heard that. And I told my wife too, listen, when Elle finally starts going, it's going to be, you're going to have the same rules as school. Nothing shorter than 4 inches above the knee. Like that's the shortest you're going to go here.
Mhm.
I like that you
We're
have an
not-
objective standard at least that you're using. Not
You have to. And you got to stick with your principles.
No, I'm
yeah.
saying a rules. It should be a rule, to stick by. None of this, interpretation of the rule stuff. You know what I mean? I love that. None of this. I know it when I see it. You have a specific standard.
And we
I'm
don't
just
change
glad to
late in the
hear-
game.
I'm just, do the cheerleaders still wear their cheerleading outfits on
Yep.
Friday?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yep.
So there is one solid tradition still left in high school.
And we do still have some of the players, now maybe a young lady, maybe a young man will have the jersey in the stands, right? Rocking and supporting their friend or their significant other.
Sure.
And then also too, a couple of the moms will be rocking their youngsters jersey, which we appreciate,
The away jersey, the other one that they're not wearing for the game, right? Is that the
Yeah,
Yes.
they have multiple.
Yes, the other
sell them.
jersey.
Well, I don't know. Back in high school, we had
Hey,
two. That's all. it was.
Armin, you should know more. You go in the time capsule and go back to high school all the
Oh, I
time.
love
What are some things that were done in high school that are not done anymore?
Well, I don't know what if they're not done anymore because I'm not around the scene anymore. Like Billy is coaching, but do they still run out of the tunnel with a big piece of paper?
We
that
got
they-
the big piece of paper
they-
that rips away.
they rip
Yeah,
the
no
paper.
doubt about
Awesome.
it.
I
Yep.
love
That's
that.
awesome.
I love ripping the big piece of paper up.
The lockers will still get decorated for homecoming.
Locker
do the lockers?
decoration.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's homecoming time. Are we toilet papering everybody's houses?
Uh,
Are we doing the TP? We're not doing the
What?
TP.
No,
See what I'm
come
saying,
on.
John?
sensitive
Come on,
subject.
somebody killed that fun. What Todd or
Ooh,
Karen
yeah.
killed that fun?
Oh, I can't wait to tell you that story off the air. I cannot
It's got to be
wait.
off the air.
It's-
So obviously they took it farther than toilet paper.
Well,
and
we-
did something else. But what you can do is
And
you
the
just say to
adults
the kids-
ruin it, John. And the adults ruin
Of
it as
course.
seemingly always.
My
The
dad was
adults
mad.
take it a little bit too far, get too upset, and then it's no fun for anybody because somebody got upset and,
You know, the
and took it way
question
too
was,
far.
as a parent, if your house gets TP'd, you know one thing: your kids either loved or your kids despised. If you
Which-
ran right down the middle, if
They're
you were
feeling
not-
something about them.
Yeah, they're feeling something. Either your kid strikes a nerve in a group of kids, or your kid is beloved and wants to be noticed by a group of kids.
Yeah.
It was one or the other.
I got TP'd a couple times, but my dad was so mad about it. He's like, clean all this stuff up. This vandalizing our house. That's what he was saying because there was toilet paper in the pine tree. I'm like, all right, Dad, I'll clean it up. I was all excited. I'm like, oh, they TP'd
Sweet,
me.
I got friends.
This is pretty cool. You know,
Oh, people like me.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
They
Yeah.
hate me. They can't stand me. I don't know which one it is.
If you played a sport, usually,
Maybe-
or we would TP even friends. You know, you TP each other. But
Right,
you
the
go at
people you
night.
liked and in
You
line.
used to go at night though. You used to go at night and do it. None of this in the middle of the day stuff that I see now. That like, can
Oh
we get
wow, broad daylight
can we
going
get
in TP.
permission to TP? Excuse me, sir. What trees?
Man,
do
they're
you
doing
off
smash
limits?
and grabs
What?
during the day
No,
now.
I think it's I that's what I heard. All I know is like I would get TP'd, and then Johnny Logan's Big Tree got it, and
Yeah.
then Kevin Panzarella. I don't know if Butts got it. I'm sure John Decker did, but he played
Pause.
for Thomas More, and we didn't mess with that.
Yeah,
He
didn't-
wasn't
didn't
part
go
of
with
us
that one,
anymore.
no.
So that hurt me.
TPing is a good one. Also, you know you really messed up when you throw the rubber bands on the grass. That was the one that we started going with in high school.
Plastic forks is what we did.
Yeah, because the rubber bands, John, when you're trying to rake them up, they all keep getting stuck in the rake and they bounce all over the place. You actually got to pick them up one by one. That's kind of
That's
diabolical.
bad.
That was kind of mean when we started doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fun, dude.
Stick with the toilet paper. It was always known. Stick with the toilet paper, and nobody will get in trouble.
Well, yeah.
And
But that was the problem. There's always one or two bad kids that start throwing eggs or something like that. You know what I mean? And like that,
the
then now you're
eggs-
going too far.
The eggs are a pain in the butt. Stay away from the eggs. No Vaseline on the windows.
Yeah.
Like, don't need that.
Just a little
That's
bit.
hard.
You can saran wrap the car. There you go. That one's fine. That one's funny. But then we're done here. All right.
Thomastown, Alaska said it's the Ring doorbell that's killed it. That makes sense actually, because you can.
Well,
figure
and
it
that
out.
really killed ding dong ditching, which I do still contend that and bagging a house were some of the most fun that you could possibly do. Where you'd light the small little bag of dog
Sure,
feces
sure.
on fire, and then all of a sudden your buddy's dad would come out here. Oh, come on, what is it? Oh, and I got it all over my shoe.
My dad, the eggs. It was the eggs. I know, Dad. Okay, I know. All right. We didn't bring up the 1950 Phillies yet either. So
I like when we fired in here right out of the gates and we get 815 saying, wait, kids don't go to high school homecoming anymore? That was like the Super Bowl week of high school. And it really
It was.
is like the whole week's worth of celebration, the dress up days.
that
was an intense week.
I loved it. It was super fun to go to the dances. You know.
Does your team still bust to away games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
At least we still got that.
Well,
Yeah,
how
we
else?
still got that one
Oh,
going
you get
for
a
us.
ride? You get a ride or something? How else would you go?
No, I
Bus-
mean some people like some schools let you ride with your folks or something like that,
Oh,
or
really?
players
Oh.
will drive certain places. Yeah, no, we still run and bring the kids over. And tomorrow at home, Hawkfest is going to be a good one. It's going to be a big one. Now, listen, Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook has not put up any lines for it, and luckily they don't. Now in Florida, you could be walking down the street and somebody would be like, "Hey, I got the whole list here. I got the whole I got the whole menu. What are you looking for?" They don't do that. They're
Yeah.
above board here.
I'm looking
Professionals
for
at Potawatomi.
Arrowhead first score touchdown parlay.
Yeah,
that with
props.
The cover.
I need a prop, please. Yes.
Yeah, John Ramashevsky would put, a first touchdown score, Hawks money line, and then like Brewers win the World Series in that 3-team parlay.
State championship and MVP futures.
Tie them all together. Let's get into our picks and let's get into our investment hour first with our friends at Carnivore and You Better You Bet.
You better.
You better, you better, you bet. You
better.
You better, you better, you bet.
You better bet your life that everybody is waiting to try to beat the guys and eat with the guys now. Somebody slammed the door shut on y'all last week with a perfect rack, and You Better You Bet. So maybe we allow some nooners to get into the playoffs this week. Or maybe John Kuhn just shuts the box, goes 5 for 5, hits that lock, and all of these are for naught. But Mark and Madison's going to damn well try, John. He's going to try to go in here, and he's going to try to shut the box with 5 game-winning picks. Mark and Madison is up on hold, and now he's on 9 to noon. In for You Better You Bet with Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years with the finest cuts of steak, Wagyu cuts of steak, domestic and international, as well as the best wines in spirits that you're going to find in Milwaukee. Mark, your first pick, you're up here on You Better You Bet. Where are we headed? What's the first one?
We're going to Indianapolis minus the 2 versus the Bears.
Now Potawatomi sweetening the deal for
Yep.
Mark and Madison. John, as the Colts are only laying 1.5 now against those Chicago Bears.
I'll take it.
There we go.
Thank
That's
you.
what I'm talking about, Mark.
Isn't
Thank
that
you.
something? feel pretty good about your victory against the Colts, at home with a backup quarterback. And then you come to find out when they're at home the next week, they're only a 1.5 favorite against the Bears, which you think right now look a little defunct. Takes a look, but man, puts things in perspective just a little bit.
Yeah, and no DeForest Buckner. He was placed on IR for the Indianapolis Colts with an ankle sprain. So a tough one there for Indianapolis. All right, pick number 2, Mark and Madison. What do you got?
Taking the Packers down in Tennessee with the points.
Talking about a line that's been moving. I saw 1.5 this morning. Now it's back to +2.
This was 2.5 earlier in the week.
But now that maybe the Jordan Love news. I don't know if Schneidman's moving this line himself.
It was 3 yesterday.
Yeah. So I think this is a car that's centering on the road now. I'm expecting it to land at 1.5 eventually. Right now it's +2. Right now at this moment at Potawatomi Sportsbook.
+2, John, and +107 on that Packers money line if you just think they win this thing outright.
Yeah, and I'll bet you this is minus for the Packers by the time the game starts, especially get some positive news on Jordan Love Friday or Saturday.
Once he's announced, well, if he's announced, and
these cheesers get down to Nashville, start sucking beer like they are stealing it, then it's definitely going to flip to a Packers. Might be laying 2 by kickoff here. Mark, you're getting a good spot on that line. What's your next line?
We're going out to the Great Northwest. I'm taking Seattle over Miami.
All right, -4.5.
The Seahawks laying 4.5. Skylar Thompson at quarterback for the Dolphins. Seahawks have, they've been good enough to, in the games that they've played this year, John, come out with a 2-0 record. Have they been convincing? Maybe not. However, they're 2-0 and they're at home against a team that's playing a backup quarterback. I like that deal with laying 4.5.
Yeah, we've seen Skylar Thompson before. He played the Bills very, very well a few years back. And here's the deal. This Seattle Seahawks team is a little bit different in the fact of they're not as explosive as they once were. Right now, their running back Walker III is dealing with an injury to his rib cage. So they're relying on tossing it around a little bit. They strike a couple of those big plays. That could be an easy one for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, and Mike McDonald winning his first 2 games as a head coach, nothing easy. However, you just look at that division, John, like his opportunity to make the playoffs in year 1 there has just dramatically changed with the injuries the Rams are having, the injuries the Niners are having. I mean, it's a different beast there for Seattle. I love that one.
Wouldn't that be something? We all had the Rams and the 49ers coming out of the West, and very well, if this injury to Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel lasts for a period of time and they struggle, this could be a Seahawk Cardinal division this year.
Yeah, and everybody this week, flavor of the week is the Cardinals and Kyler, how fun they were. Just like with the Vikings in the NFC North, the team that's 2-0 is the one that nobody's really talking about with Seahawks. All right, Mark, we see you there with that 3rd pick. What's your 4th one?
Let's go to the desert against Arizona. I'm taking Detroit minus the points.
Laying 3 against Kyler and the Cards in Arizona. Now, Dan Campbell putting his house up for sale, John, because people found out where he lived once they lost. And he said, man, I got to get out of here.
They don't want that house TP'd.
It sounds like they may have been doing something different to it. And that's wrong.
That's
all right.
Very wrong.
That is very wrong for the people of Blooming Hills, Michigan, or wherever they were going.
Bloomfield Hills, I think.
Bloomfield Hills. Said it's a great area, man.
They said that they were all coming to the house and just hanging around. What were they doing?
Kind of just milling around. Like there was the thoughts that some were threatening. There were some that were like, Coach, we love you, Coach. He's like, but they're just showing up all the time. So he's like, I think I just got to get out of here.
It all depends on how safe you feel. And I understand that it can be a little nerve-wracking if people just start showing up.
Love the neighborhood, though, man. It's a great neighborhood, man. A great house, $4.5 million. We'll give you a deal, man.
But, John, didn't everyone used to decorate Drew Brees' front yard like, way to go, big win? And when they won games, like everybody knew Drew in New Orleans. I thought I remember reading that somewhere.
Yeah, I think they did. I don't think they were milling around. I think they might have came the day before a game or day after a game and put some signs up.
Like that. Way to go and stuff like that.
Little different than people just milling around out there in the street, just staring at your house. That would be weird.
Yeah, like, Coach, you in there, Coach?
Like if you go to the Home Alone house on Christmas, which I have in the past, it's a madhouse of people. It's a madhouse.
How many times you go there a year? Like 4 or 5 just to go see how it's doing?
I don't go 4 times a year, but I've been there 4 or 5 times total. Yeah, I mean, like
Mark and Madison.
Does it change?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Over the years, it's changed. They put a little fence up and stuff. But
so they're doing stuff to it. It's not just like ivy.
Well, the owners have changed over the years, and I guess they get upset at people. You can't buy a house like that and be upset. You cannot buy the Home Alone house and be upset people are coming to see the house. That's part of the thing. You can't buy a house next to the airport and be upset that planes are flying. That's all I'm going to say.
Go off. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm going to go off about it.
Great follow-up, John. We would never have gotten that if it wasn't for that follow-up.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I am interested. So you buy a house to be your house, and because it was in a movie, you can't expect that privacy.
It's a famous house. You cannot have an expectation that you won't be a part of the public landscape in that sense. Yes, John.
I think knowing that it could be a possibility before you buy it is out there, but then getting it and being upset that it was worse than what you anticipated is
and that I can understand.
maybe that, and you can expect people to follow laws to not go on your property. I get that. But
in 2024,
I mean, you've
people
been
are
to that
fishing
house
anywhere.
5 times and people live in it. You've been staring at another person's house 5 times, 5 different times in your life.
That
Well,
Armenian guy's back, Dad.
Hey,
Son of a gun. He's always coming around.
hey, I'm not the only ones.
You mean the guy with the best voice in radio? The most unique voice in radio? Yes, that
Well,
one,
that
Dad.
one, Dad.
People fly
Don't go out. He will talk to you for an hour.
Well, people
I
fly
lost
in.
my whole Sunday talking to the guy last week.
People flying from all over the world to go to 671 Lincoln Avenue in Winnetka.
See,
all right,
now you
There it
just,
is.
You throw it out there.
you can find it on the
Personal
internet.
information.
You're
I've
like the
also
person
been-
that put Dan Campbell's address out on Reddit.
I've also been to the Family Matters house in Chicago, but that got torn down. They made condos.
Is the
out
Full
of it.
house still going
It's
in
still
San
out
Francisco?
because they bought I think the original creator bought it and to make sure it was
Oh, turn it into a museum or
basically
something.
they were
good
doing
work.
Airbnbs. That was
Have
the
you
way.
been to it?
No, I've never been to San Francisco. I've
Ooh.
not been.
What are you
So-
waiting for?
Well, I don't know. I just haven't been.
He's waiting for a free trip from the station, I think.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, he's waiting for Sunburn Bowl to be in San
Yes,
Fran.
let's do it.
I think you're going to be waiting a while. All right, Mark's been waiting a while to deliver us his 5th pick. Most likely his lock, his game-winning, his absolute clincher. Mark, what is it?
I'm taking Buffalo at home versus the Jaguars.
And you're locking that one in, correct?
Yep, that's the big play.
Let's go, Mark. That's the big boy. He's locking in the Buffalo Bills -5 against the Jags. I said yesterday or on Tuesday, John, I'm done. I'm quitting it.
Yeah.
I'm getting the patches. I'm not betting on the Jags.
You're getting the patches.
I'm getting the patches. I just can't do it anymore. I got to be done with this. I got to be done with this sick issue.
That was Billy's bad advice.
That's good.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. And to Mark's credit, the Buffalo Bills are lucky. They're only at -5-point favorites. 5.5 is what we found to be the kryptonite for NFL favorites right now. All people, all teams favored by more than 5.5.
Right.
Or is it 5.5 or more?
Or it's 9 and
are
1
1
or 1 and 9.
and 9.
1 and 9.
They are
Mm.
1 and 9 against the spread. Beware. You betters.
Now that's
That
going to
is a
change,
difficult
right? There's going to be some regression to the
Oh,
mean.
is it?
It might,
funny you
That's
ask.
how-
or it
that's
might
how
not.
I think.
Sportsbooks might just steal all our money this year and just have underdogs winning all season long. That could be it. Or we just rob those books like we should coming up this week. Mark, great work. Appreciate your contributions. Find out next week if you are in for the playoffs, and we hope you are because you delivered some excellent picks. Great work.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
Oh, it's
You
ours.
too,
Thanks,
Mark.
buddy.
Man, prompt up, ready to go. We even dropped in the lock right there, 5th.
You know I love that.
That's what I'm talking about, Mark
Yeah.
and Madison. Now, those were some pretty solid picks. I don't know if we can call them can't misses quite yet.
Thursday night football. That's what we have on the docket here for my can't miss. And if you want to make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook and watch this Thursday night football game between the Jets and the Patriots, I would suggest it's a fine spot. You can find seating for over 200 people on some incredible couches and recliners, or you can make your way and sit at the bar and play some video poker while you stare at a 2,000 square foot curved LED screen. It's truly the biggest sports book outside of Vegas, bigger than most of them inside Vegas. And when you go there, you'll see what we're talking about. But if you only have a couple minutes, can't really spend a lot of time, you can still
I don't
make
have a
your way
lot of
down
money.
That's
to the
okay too,
sports book.
Butch.
You can make your way down to the sports book, and without going into the sports book, you can leave your car sit right there on the second level, just off the skywalk, roll in there, and make your pick at one of 70 different kiosks that are hanging out.
And if you're like Butch,
I don't have a lot of money.
you can just go watch.
No.
Get a soda,
Yeah.
get a coffee, you're good.
Yeah, you can get free sodas and free coffees and sit there and watch the game, listening to people screaming and hollering and yelling. It's truly an environment like being at the game without actually having to pay the venue prices. Now, here we go. Thursday night football. I told you we're going there. There's a lot that I like in this football game. There's a lot that I like. I like Aaron Rodgers under 219 yards passing here tonight, but I like Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 touchdowns here tonight.
Ooh, yes. Why, John? Because he likes to throw in the red zone. Is that The joke, is that the thing there?
A little bit of that.
Okay, well.
Basically, he has 2 touchdown passes on the year, or 2 touchdown passes in each one of the games this year so far. And the over under of 1.5 gets you positive payout. I also like Braylon Allen to score an anytime touchdown in this football game. 2 in the last one. And I think he's going to become one of those guys that when they get down there, they feel comfortable giving him the ball because he can power his way in. But I'm not going there. Because I got to go with the trends of the NFL right now. I told you about a spread, and this spread is 6 right now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to follow the money. I'm going to follow the trends. Last week I picked all big favorites, and this week I'm going to start with a big dog. New England Patriots +6 at New York Jets here tonight.
Right. Patriots.
I gave you 4 picks, but the one I'm locking in as the can't miss are the Patriots +6.
Patriots +6. And by the way, John, you had the Guardians +1.5, so you covered that last night as well with the win.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
2 and 1 on the week. Need one more out of these last 2 days to secure our 7th straight winning week.
All right, let's do it. And Patriots
That's amazing.
+6 is the pick tonight. I don't take an eye on those props, though. Those are interesting.
I love that
props.
Braylon Allen anytime touchdown.
Becomes like the vulture,
Plus
like you were.
231. Plus
Mhm.
231 for Braylon Allen anytime touchdown.
You can find those touchdown vultures like
It's
John
also-
was in New Orleans.
It's also 38.5. There's no way these two teams
No,
are
this
getting
is
to
going under.
This has got to go under.
This is going under the whole way.
Yeah, I could see this going like 17-14 or something like that, or even
I think it's-
2017.
That's what I was going to say. 2017.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no way 2 teams are getting to 40 with these guys coming up. 1-1 Patriots, 1-1 Jets tonight. A fun one there. Fun conversation had earlier today on the 4-letter network that we're going to bring you a piece of because of just the outlandish nature of it. From one Mel Kiper Jr. Now, as they'd said, who even is Mel Kiper anyway? Well, Mel Kiper. Yeah, come on, Mr. Colts GM. We got the answer for you. And Mel Kiper's got an idea in the NFL that might be one of the dumbest that we've heard. However, it might be one of the most electrifying deliveries of the dumbest take you've ever had, potentially, from Mel Kiper coming up on the other side of how he would, as he says, bring the NFL back to the glory days of passing the football. What? Yeah. Check this out next. It's 9 to noon on the Game.
Well, man.
Inside the Iron Jock Studios, it's 9 to noon. Long sleeve tees get their turn now through September 29th. When you buy 2 small logoed long sleeve t-shirts, you'll get a third for free. That's a $49.99 value.
That's a great value. John and I were talking about it the other day. Billy, you were out, but man, what a great value. I love those long sleeve tees.
Yes.
You know me, I layer up all the time.
You generally do.
So I just throw one of those on. Then if it's too hot, I'm nice and light with my Iron Jock long sleeve. But
What's up with his little shake while he's doing that,
Just
John?
feel
You
good with
noticing
it. I
that?
feel good with it.
Sachet. He's got a little sachet.
I like
what
that.
What do you like better, long sleeve tees or hoodies with no t-shirt underneath?
Well, that's
see, now I can't go.
that's a good question.
I got too much chafing going on in the chest region. If I go with the hoodie, no undershirt, I got to have that one. But
How
the
do you
short
chafe if you have a
sleeve,
shirt, but you have a shirt on. It's
Yeah.
just a hoodie.
yeah, it's
See,
just the scratchiness always just
those
getting after
Iron
me.
Jock hoodies with the V cut, and
Money,
I mean that's incredible.
yeah.
Rock those.
I love
But
them because
take a day
they're not super
that's
heavy.
long sleeve tee worthy.
Yeah.
and try going hoodie with no t-shirt under.
Okay, I'll try
Because
it.
then
They're
you
not
don't get
super
hot.
heavy. Yes.
Yeah.
They're not
See,
super
and
heavy.
to me, that's always like the embroidering, right? I see an embroidered shirt. I'm
love
like,
it.
I gotta have a shirt underneath it
Right,
because
because
it just it scratches and messes with me.
The nipples,
But I'm
I
gonna,
know. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
okay, yeah.
Well,
But the,
Yeah.
When's the
tape
last time
on.
you bought a shirt that had one of those patches on the inside because they had the embroidery?
Embroidery? Yeah. It's a good question.
That's
I
a
mean,
good question. Yeah, these shorts.
That
right
was
now
like
have
back in the
weird
day
ones.
when your parents bought you, Oshkosh Bagosh or something like
It's
that.
a screen printed.
right? Or no, actually, the ones I got was the Lambeau Field one, and then I was like, I gotta have an undershirt on underneath this, and then threw that bad boy on. Perfect.
We got
Worked
Lena
out well.
a onesie with a big old pumpkin on it, but that's kind of like that, John. But there's no way that's comfortable for her. With
Yeah,
that,
but it looks cute, and mom likes it.
That's all that matters.
Kids
Yeah.
can't be comfortable to begin with. You have
I'm
them
with you on
swaddled.
that.
They're
Yeah.
they're in this protective
Sure.
condom that they can't move.
Right, right.
They can't move their arms. They can't move their legs. Babies
She
are
hates it.
uncomfortable to begin with, and we wonder why they cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they must be hungry. No, you got them swaddled and sucked in there like they're some sort of sausage.
A burrito, yeah, I know. Put the casing on them.
Oh
like
my
that.
God, Carson! Literally, the best thing that's ever happened to him is once we just decided, hey man, summer's here. You can probably just run around in your diaper. He'll be okay. He's like, this is way better than anything else mom keeps sticking me in. All right, so we've been hearing this, and it's been getting quite a bit of run, understandably so. Earlier on today. And John, you caught this on Get Up with Greeny and Dan Orlowski and company earlier on today. And Mel Kiper walked into one. Now, I do not know who upset Mel Kiper, but I know what is upsetting Mel Kiper. It's all this dang cover 2 defense in the NFL, and he says it needs to stop.
West Coast.
Heard that one.
Dano.
Come on, Dano. He said the NFL is being ruined by these two high safeties, John. They're being way too far back. We need to move them up, force them to move up in the box. Your response to Mel Kiper, who maybe should just stick to the draft.
I just there are several reasons why we're here, and I'm just surprised that it's gotten this much run because it's been all over the four-letter network all day. Right?
Yes.
We have our TVs on in the background, and that's been the number one thing they've covered is this ridiculous take that happened on a podcast overnight. And I find it wild because the NFL has ebbs and flows, and I've been telling you guys on the broadcasts, and I've been telling you guys on here that the cover 2 game is what teams have lived in the last 5 years. That's been the defense's, response to these pass happy offenses. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. That's been their defense to try and limit the big plays and try and, let it matriculate down. Joe Barry lived on this, and we hated cover 2 with Joe Barry. Right. And it matriculates down the field. And then when the field zone gets shrunk in the red zone, then you make your stop and you hold them to a field goal. That's been the response to all these teams airing it out. So Mel Kiper's talking about a day when they used to take deep shots down the field. Well, what'd they do back then? They ran the ball 60, 65 times.
All the time.
What are they doing this year? They're running the football.
Exactly.
Running is up this year, more so than it's ever been. Running numbers are up in the NFL this year. Passing numbers are down. We know that. But the defense's response is going to be they're slowly going to creep back in. They're slowly going to get into the box, and then you're going to get your shot plays. That's the way this whole thing works. Now, what's another reason why they have cover 2? Because every rule in the game has been made to penalize the defense, every single one. You can't hit quarterbacks. You can't hit receivers. You can't. We talked about it yesterday, Billy. When's the last time you've seen an uncatchable ball called when it looks like it's pass interference? I mean, every time.
Good call. Yeah.
It used to be pass interference, but was it catchable? Can you have pass interference on an uncatchable ball? No, you can't.
No,
you can't. So every rule has been made to incentivize scoring and make it harder on the defenses. Well, this is what you get out of the defenses. They're playing as soft as they can to try and limit the big plays because of all those rules.
I just can't understand how the chess part of the game has now become something that you just eradicate once it no longer is what you deem as fun.
That's
right?
So silly.
I mean, John, what we just watched from the Packers against the Indianapolis Colts, apparently that's not fun. Apparently that's not fun.
Hey,
I had a great time watching
This is a serious question for the Nooners. 414-799-1973. Was the Packers game fun to watch? Did you enjoy that? Or would you, let's say the Packers won by 6, but it was 46-40. Which way would be better for you? Which way do you prefer? Or are they both fun? That was a phenomenally enjoyable game to watch because it was so different. It was so different than what we've seen in recent years. And you could tell it was planned, it was choreographed, and it was orchestrated.
Yes.
All three of
the execution was amazing.
All 3 of those things happened. And you know what? And they didn't even happen perfectly because you still had a fumble on the 1-yard line. You still had a missed field goal by the Green Bay Packers. But it was something that you came out and you knew, okay, and we said it last week, Matt LaFleur is going to have to get in his bag. Let's see what this bag is. And then as he showed us everything he had in that bag and that bag was just enough to get him to the finish line, right? They did it just well enough in the second half to keep the ball out of the Colts. They weren't great in the second half. They were much better in the first half, much more effective, but they were just good enough in the second half to get that thing to win. I mean, that was a phenomenal way to watch this game get played.
In football, the theater part of the running game, like especially when that's the part of it that I don't fully understand with Mel's take when he's talking about the beauties and the glory days of the 60s and 70s and 80s. Part of the great glory of that is the bell cow back who's holding and carrying the ball 30 plus times. And the Walter Paytons of the world that are sitting there and the blood and the sweat and the tears are running down because they're working so hard all day long. Paul Hornings and Jim Taylors and company. Like, I don't think that people no longer find that entertaining and find that part good to watch, even though, yeah, we know the receivers and we know the quarterbacks more. Those are the highest paid combinations. Still doesn't mean it's the best ways to win. You hear it every single year, and you just saw the Chiefs do it last year. They got the best quarterback, maybe the best one we've ever seen. maybe the best tight end we've ever seen, one of the more prolific passing games. And their whole calling card last year was, we don't have to throw it to win it. We're just going to play defense and we're going to hold on to the ball, hand it to Isaiah Pacheco, let that guy run through someone's face and win and laugh in a physical fashion.
The team systematically adjusts to whatever the cycle of the current game is, and strategy adjusts. That's what makes the game fun, the way it evolves. That's what makes the history of the game fun, the way it evolves. This revisionist history that he's got is the weirdest thing for me. Yes, there were times that teams would go deep. There were moments that there's moments now when teams go deep. You're just remembering those, but you're telling me the 60s and the 70s were the era of long balls and stuff like that? No, that's totally wrong. That's so bizarre that he's saying this stuff, saying bubble screens aren't fun to watch. I love watching screen passes. I love watching this stuff. It's just strategy adjustment. You're going to see more of that now, and maybe the strategy will turn again. But only a few years ago during COVID, teams were scoring all the time, and it was teams are passing too much. It's too easy to score.
I'm gonna throw something.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
I'm gonna throw something else out there too. When's the last time you gone back and watched a game from the 80s or the 90s?
Thank you.
Not very often.
Thank you.
College,
I watch them a lot.
a college game or a pro game. And I'm going to tell you this, Armin, I don't go back on YouTube and watch a lot, but every now and then it pops up for me on the television or somewhere else, and I can watch a game from the 80s or the 90s, and I watch it. And I'm a football enthusiast junkie, and they are not as aesthetically pleasing as today's game. Everybody that says, the game's hard to watch now, yeah, but now that you're accustomed to it, go back and watch one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
That's what it was.
With high pad level,
Yeah.
and guys getting knocked around and falling down, and the athleticism. They were great athletes back then, but the athleticism that you see today is just overemphasized. It's a different game. It really, truly is. And it was fun to watch back then, and it's fun to watch now. But you can't keep changing the rules, because guess what? Offenses evolve, then defenses evolve.
Yes.
Then offenses evolve, then defenses evolve. That's how it works.
Yeah, totally, John. That's what makes this a silly take. I mean, and guys were just not as advanced. Passing attacks were not as advanced back then. There were a few deep shots every now and then. That's what you remember about it,
Well, you look at the yards per completion for Terry Bradshaw in his career. Now you're talking about a 52% completion percentage for the Hall of Famer and 4-time Super Bowl winner. But yards per attempt, pretty much the same. Yards per completion, maybe a tick higher than Pat Mahomes. But again, you're talking about because they ran 3 routes. Yep. They basically ran 3 routes, and it was, hey, Lynn Swann down there somewhere. Because for Tyreek and company, that's what it was. Hey, Tyreek's down there somewhere.
And they threw
we
more
still
picks.
got plenty of
they
deep
threw
balls.
more picks back then, too.
A ton of picks. All right. That's fair. It's a fair question. Got a great head of hair, though. I think that's maybe the most incredible thing about Mel Kiper.
I think he lost a bet, or
that lettuce has continued.
Yeah, they said you got to give the worst Mel Kiper take and the most you voice ever. Somewhere, someone told him you lost a bet.
I'm telling you, Terry Bradshaw knows exactly what he's doing. Look at how many times pushing the ball down the field. Lynn Swann going up and getting it. This is the kind of guy you need. Big rump, big arm. That's what you're trying to find.
Terry Bradshaw had more interceptions than he did touchdowns.
So did Namath.
People would have booed him.
So did Namath.
He would be getting booed today. That's the difference.
He wouldn't have started as long as he did.
There's one part of his argument that was interesting. He said, well, now defenses are just saying, bend but don't break, let them run down the field, and they'll get an offensive holding that ruins their drive. Well, okay, now you just said the philosophy of the defense. What's the offense's philosophy?
Amen.
Run down the field and don't hold.
Yeah, and don't hold. Yeah, run down the field, and as Marshawn Lynch would say, run through a joker over and 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 over again. That's exactly how you want to do it right here on 9 to noon. We make picks coming up tomorrow for You Better You Bet. We just had some picks here in hour number 3. We'll run through everything else, and one of the best sounds from last night in the Brewers celebration of their, once again, back-to-back NL Central Division titles in that celebration. That's our quick trip takeaways. It's on the other side, 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Quick Trip takeaways of the day brought to you by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal or a box of blueberry dunkers because that was the breakfast here today. Armin, if you get one of those take-home meals, you might even find.
Have you tried the pink lemonade dunkers yet?
I have not. I
All
saw
right,
them.
that's next.
I saw the box. They were right next to the blueberry dunkers.
Well, I know you wanted to play.
And I grabbed the Brewers blueberry
Of course,
division dunkers.
You got to go play it. Say you don't want to mess up the. You got to know what a known quantity. We know the blueberry dunkers are amazing. We don't want to risk it. I get it.
It was a low risk,
Yeah.
high reward prospect. You know exactly what you're getting. Good foundation,
Big
built
rump.
out, big rump, built out of the seam. They're in Iowa, knows exactly what they want. So you know what you want at Quick Trip. They got anything and everything you possibly could. Youngster, as I was in Quick Trip here today, John looked at her dad after she was holding a chocolate donut. She goes, "Dad, we passed the chocolate milk," and he goes, "I know. I already said no." I was like, I can't. That is going to be a tough thing to say. That's going to be a tough thing to say. But I already know little man's going to be like, "Dad, I need some chocolate milk. I got 2 chocolate donuts. I need something." No.
You need
No.
to dunk the chocolate donut in the chocolate milk.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I do like the strategy though. We passed the chocolate milk.
We passed the chocolate milk already, Dad.
Didn't you mean to grab some?
Didn't you mean to grab me one? No.
Hey, we
told
passed-
you you're not getting one.
We passed the Mambas.
I was like, that's a great strategy. I wish it would have worked out better for her. All the Quick Trip takeaways on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. It looks like a bunch of Nooners had a great time at the celebration last night. AAA Dante just sent in a video or a picture of him celebrating last night. A lot of people sent in pictures while we were on the post-game show last night. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and hopefully it only gets better as the Brewers head into the postseason, and we'll have home games tonight. Home game for Kevin Brandt on the football feast. Germantown football feast tonight. We're about to be in your city giving away
KB
tickets to
homecoming?
Packers in Minnesota. But yeah,
Are people
100%.
showing up?
Listen,
Are they asking dates?
it seems like it might be a huge day. Might be a massive day. John, there might be a couple of homecoming proposals outside of Buffalo Wild Wings today for a KB homecoming.
Wow. Bring your toilet paper. Homecoming for KB.
And bring your appetite because it's buy one, get one free wings at Buffalo Wild Wings coming up tonight. For John Kuhn, I'm Billy Schmidt. That's Armin Sai. We'll hand it off to Heller, and we'll try somehow